Matt Waters Music. I don't know why I said Matt Waters Music.
I'll take it. What up, brother?
Hey, Matt.
Yo, you are the king of graphics. You have officially blown my mind this morning. This has been awesome.
Oh, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate that. That was a mess.
Dude, it takes a lot of processing speed to have all those PNGs loaded. I don't know where you got the bong PNG, but very righteous, very righteous.
Oh, bro, yeah, that bong PNG takes up most of my CPU. Just that PNG alone is just
it's such high fidelity, man. I mean, just try to keep it clean. But isopropyl will help. You got this.
Yeah. Oh well, we're going forward. We're not looking back. We're gonna DDT off the top turnbuckle. That's right.
You're a WWE fan, man. I heard you on a different episode. I just popped into a different episode to see what kind of conversations this was, and y'all are just talking about Ric Flair off the bat, and I was like, all right.
Yeah, we went right
into a WWF kid.
I was a kid, not an adult. Even though I am wearing a WrestleMania shirt with the Ultimate Warrior on it. I do not pay attention to it anymore. I'm not really much of a fan anymore. So it's
no, it's gone to shit. I mean, Vince McMahon has lost his eye for characters.
It really has gone to shit, man. Yeah, no, I don't watch it anymore. But you know, it's fun, and like the memories and the nostalgia of it is it's really fun for me. So of course I had to incorporate it into my silly little show. It's like, hey, there you go.
There we go.
What's up behind that suit? Welcome in, my friend. If anybody didn't know, behind that suit was actually the one rapping on that video. So go and follow him. And Bonnie, you know what to do. Give some love to our boy behind that suit. Anyways, Matt, thank you again for coming on.
Happy to, brother.
How was your day, man? How's your morning? Is this early for you? I'm not sure if this is early for you.
It's relatively early. So I got a Sunday gig that I do every week till about 11 o'clock. I came home, I shoveled some snow, I worked on some mixes. So I got up probably around like 10 and got grooving with it, made some breakfast.
Nice.
So this is a great way to kick it off, man.
Yeah, why not? Why not? You get on the internet and talk about yourself, right? It's like that.
Yeah, re-download Zoom and figure out what the fuck's going on here.
Dude, I know Zoom is such a trip these days, but it integrates really well with my calendar. So I just it works. It works.
Yeah.
Dude, so you're out there touring like crazy, right? I mean, it's like you're doing gigs, you're hitting up different parts of the region, and I'm just curious on how it's going and like how you know, if you've seen. I know Ohio, we have a little bit of restrictions, but compared to some of these different states, how is the COVID restrictions on your tour, and how is that affecting what you're doing and how you're going forward with your travels and stuff?
Yeah, well, we've been adamant about getting back on the road, since 2020 in the summer aspects of it. It's like, where there were restrictions, we really just avoided. We kind of went to the Carolinas for a little bit and just found ourselves around more lax situations so we could continue to do our thing. But it hasn't really affected this year too much. Like, obviously it's very prevalent, and you hope people are stay safe and healthy on their end, but it's not something that we necessarily put a lot of focus towards. If a show gets canceled because of it, that's a bummer, but get contracts in place, do what you got to do for that.
Yeah. So there hasn't been really any. I think that's smart. I think that you're seeing that with a lot of music. Is that something that you're seeing with a lot of your friends in the scene down there, where they're like going to places that sort of don't have the restrictions that maybe some of these East Coast and West Coast cities have?
There's not a lot of bands out of Cincy right now that are touring as much just because of the circumstances.
Yeah.
And I think it's like this has been a growing 2 years for a lot of folks, and kind of getting your team back together and planning those things has been logistically heavy. But one of my best friends and my tour manager just moved to Cincinnati probably about 5 months ago from New Hampshire. So we really been hitting the ground running and getting this schedule together for 2022 and just kind of focusing on why we like to go on the road and what's important about it. So
why do you like going on the road? What is important about it, Matt Waters?
Well, I think you can spend all the time in the world trying to figure out how you get in front of an Instagram algorithm or a Twitter algorithm or something like that. But at the end of the day, like, entertainment is best live. I want this to be I want it to be tangible. I want to be sitting in front of you bringing these songs to you. So it's important to me that not only do we do that on a regular basis, you kind of keep your reps up and you keep that day-to-day practice in, but finding new audiences to play it for, and seeing what markets enjoy certain aspects of your songwriting or certain configurations of the band. Like some places I just tour solo acoustic, some places they want to see the 7-piece with the horn section. So, logistically, I got to figure that shit out and get back to them.
Yeah, no, a horn section, a 7-piece, bro. What is that like? Because I tour with a reggae band, and so I know what it's like. Because like funk, I know funk and reggae are on different spectrum, but I feel like they're both a vibe, right? They're both a
For
feel.
sure.
And like and they both come with like 50 members in the band. So
Yeah.
it's like there's some parallels with it. And traveling with that many people, trying to make that kind of what are the challenges that you're facing with that, man? I mean, is it, and it, I mean, obviously there's money out there, and like right now in Toledo, it's not a great place to be a working musician. I mean, just it's a small town, also, but also. I mean, when I first moved back here from San Diego, like it was popping, and you could work here. And you probably worked up here a few, over the years. You work up here probably often.
Yeah.
So when I first got back here, oh my God, hey, and thank you so much for that host, my friend. And how you doing, buddy? I hope you're doing all right. No worries. Thank you for the lurk, my friend. Yeah. So when you're with the logistics of traveling with like with the horns and the percussion and all that stuff, what are you facing, especially right now when I know that there is money out there, but like in this environment, what are the logistics that you're facing, and the things you have to overcome right now?
Well, we try to be upfront with, like, especially the venues
Mm-hmm.
or clients that are bringing us in for private parties, whatever it be. Like, here's the band configurations we can do. Here's the budget for each of those,
Yeah.
and it's like we can only do so much within certain confines. But then if there is a budget for it, it's really just the space and the travel of these guys. Like most of these cats are a little bit older than me. So they got families, they got wives and whatnot. And
Right.
it's like the last thing I want to do is be on the bad side of one of the wives of one of the band members. Like I
Right.
want
Right.
them to think that everyone's having a good time. So I got to make sure everyone's cool with that.
Yeah.
But just plan things far enough out in advance and having people to come in and check things out. Just making sure that we're keeping up with, everyone knows when we're leaving, everyone knows when we're getting there, everyone knows when we're coming home, when showtime starts. So I'm horrible at that shit. So I try to hand off the itinerary stuff to like other people that are within the atmosphere of the band and want to help out.
Yeah.
And yeah, just keeping up with the charts and everything like that. So people walk in, they know what they're playing and all that too.
Right. Yeah, that's a lot to manage, man. And especially you travel and you market, and your whole act is under your name. So like
For
having
sure.
that much pressure and all of that sort of weighing in on you is how do you manage that? How do you manage your time? How do you manage these pressures of being the front man?
Well, the frontman thing, I've always, kind of been pushed to take ownership of your own project and have that freedom as a band leader. Because when it is a band per se, you're stuck with your 3 or 4 guys that are in the band and making sure that everyone's come to a consensus on things. Versus as kind of a one man show, I contract in my players. We have a roster of like 20 guys throughout the country. So depending on where we are, certain people are getting those calls, or obviously there's guys that are, more frequently calling the list because they've really put the time in on my catalog of music. But just trying to stay flexible and not being so rigid about who needs to be there for what. It kind of just, it works out for what it is.
Yeah. How do you have a rigorous practice schedule with your band, or do you guys have it so it's sort of like everything's sort of charted, everybody has a feel, and you guys can just kind of show up and, maybe run a couple songs and your guys are back at it? Is it one of those kind of things, or are you very stringent and you just come on guys, let's go, like we're doing it?
Man, I try to look at like the funk and soul like icons before, and like it's all visual and verbal cues on
Mm-hmm.
stage. Like outside of that, like learn the songs and learn how you're gonna go about it. But like every bass player is gonna have a different touch on this chorus and how they like to go about it. Or like,
Yeah.
God forbid, when it comes to like a solo section, like I don't know how long it's gonna go. Like let's take the freedom and see where these guys want to end up at. So
Right. Yeah.
it's a little bit more flexible than that. I normally send out like I have a folder of bounces from rehearsals when we do get together. Like we normally get together the day before we go on a run or something like that. Or, if we have a big show, like we have a live album coming up in March that we're going to record here in Cincy, we probably got 4 or 5 rehearsals for that where we're really charting things out and kind of refining the set list a little bit more.
Yeah.
But for the live show with 4 hours of material, it's like, here's what we could be calling. I don't know when we're calling it. Just make sure you know the tunes. If you need charts, let me know. I'll get you charts. But
yeah. Well, that's it. Hey, Skittle, welcome. Good to see you, Skittle Farts. Welcome in. Appreciate you being here.
Skittle Farts is an awesome name.
Yeah, I agree. Skittle Farts is probably one of my favorite names in here, and they are an amazing human being as well. So Skittle Farts, welcome, and a very talented streamer. Can we get a shout out for Skittle Farts, please?
That's what I'm talking about.
I love.
You got PNGs for this?
we got. Let me see.
What do I shout out?
I don't have a shout out. We have this.
All right.
There you go, Skittle Farts. Avoid that. Oh shit.
You earned this. You earned this, brother.
It's unfortunate that I have nothing that's like positive except for this. That's like the positive thing. I have this. I'm just running through my toys with you here. I got canceled.
I'm cool with that. Oh, canceled is a brutal one, man. Yeah. I didn't even know.
Brought to you by
this
Pfizer.
one. This is a fan favorite.
Fuck you. Pay me.
Of course, they're everywhere.
I saw a Pfizer commercial yesterday. I was like, what's going on here? Like, y'all have way too much going on to be caring about your slots, but whatever.
Have you seen that video of like all the things that Pfizer sponsors? Like
no.
It's hold on. We're okay. It's
feel free, take us on the journey, brother.
It's just Pfizer sponsors everything. That's what it's called. It's really freaky, honestly. Hold on.
Good morning, America.
Hold on. Let's all take a journey over to see what's going on in the land of Pfizer here. And then where's my guest at? I have a guest. Wait, where's my guest? Boom, there he is.
There I am, baby.
All right, guys, let's all take a look at this wonderful compilation. Oh, Ravenson 555. Thank you so much for that follow. I appreciate you. Oh my God, thank you, friend. That means a lot to me. I was anxious. Yo, you killed it, Skittles. You killed it. Thank you so much for that amazing performance, and also, all the people that were participating in Ant's raid train. It was amazing, and it was so fun to hang out with all you guys. Like Kelly killed it, Skittle killed it, Reina killed it. So that was such a fun thing, and Ant, condolences to you and your family, my friend. I hope you guys are getting through, and I hope whatever we were able to raise is going to help in all the final decisions that come along with what's going on with you. All right, let's watch Pfizer now. Hey.
Good Morning America is brought to you by Pfizer.
CBS Health Watch sponsored by Pfizer.
Anderson Cooper 360. Brought to you by Pfizer.
ABC News Nightline. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Making a difference. Brought to you by Pfizer.
CNN Tonight. Brought to you by Pfizer. Early Start. Brought to you by Pfizer. Friday night on Aaron Burnett Out Front. Brought to you by Pfizer.
This Week with George Stephanopoulos is brought to you by Pfizer.
This weather report brought to you by Pfizer.
Today's countdown to the royal wedding is brought to you by Pfizer.
And now a CBS Sports Update brought to you by Pfizer.
Meet the Press Data Download. Brought to you by Pfizer.
This portion of CBS This Morning sponsored by Pfizer. On how to find
I wonder
the
how long
hidden
this
sugars
goes.
in the American
Okay, it's
family
almost over.
diet. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Makes Moderna feel like Big K. Yeah. I mean, like
right?
Walgreens brand shit, man. This I don't know what their expenses look like, but like they obviously made room in the budget to get this push. Come on.
I think most of their budget it goes into. I think that most of their budget goes into advertising more than even in like research and development. Don't quote me on that, but that feels right. That feels right.
I mean, just to add some credibility, put some numbers on there and start telling people. It's gonna blow some minds out there, bro.
Did you know that 85% of Pfizer's budget goes to advertising?
You're gonna get quoted on. Give a roughly. Now you're in the clear. I mean, everything's
roughly 80% of everything that Pfizer makes goes directly back in advertising. Did you know that? Did you now?
You know, people learn slowly that your health is a priority, but you got to get together on your own, right? Don't be listening to Stephanopoulos about what you should do. Come on.
I agree with that. And what's interesting now, and is that we're finding out that health is really imperative in this time of, especially in the pandemic. We're finding out now, just recently how big of a difference that the comorbidities make, and so it is important to exercise and get out there. Are you do you exercise? Are you a physical guy? You look like you can jump around a lot on stage and get wild.
So I grew up, playing the normal sports. I was a football and a volleyball kid, but eventually I got out of all that. And I've really just gone to strictly yoga. So I do a lot of yoga at home. I keep my mat with me most of the time, and that tends to be enough for me because, like, I got friends that are doing the bodybuilding thing. I'm like, you're gonna end up being a weird looking 60-year-old. I'm gonna tell you that now. Like, I just want to make sure I can touch my toes when I'm in my later 50s, man.
Go ahead, please.
Oh, when it comes to the stage stuff, it's like, you got to be comfortable on your feet. You can't be walking around here and have all the creaks and cracks that come along with spending a lot of time in a Toyota Highlander with all your shit, like
that shit sucks, dude. It's like
it does.
Yeah, it does, and it's exhausting. You travel all day and you get to a place and then you have to turn on. It's like you travel all day and you're all like weird from the road and you're just like, okay, it's time to go. Let's go, guys.
It's a weird moment in time, but it's also one of those things that, like, you practice it every day. How do you get your mind right? Whether you got 20 minutes in the car or you got an 11-hour drive and a 4-hour straight set. It's like, it can be brutal conditions at times. So realizing what kind of prepares yourself in terms of, like, just your physicality, whether it's drinking water enough parts of the day or getting that stretch in before, like, I've realized so much about warming up my voice and things like that, just wearing it out real quickly because I'm sitting in a car all day just drinking a Coca-Cola or something like that.
Yeah, like, no, it is interesting how much if you're paying attention, how much goes into a performance, and like, especially circumventing and trying to mitigate travel and, like, environment, and just because you're traveling and like, you could be traveling through the desert, or you could be traveling through the snow, you could be traveling through any kind of environment, and your voice, your hands, your whole body has to sort of endure that. And no one takes that into consideration, before you have to go and give your entire soul to the people. Is like the travels and and what goes into getting there and doing that. And you have to sort of learn how to mitigate those things. So, like, what's sort of how do you manage, like, your voice, and, like, especially if you're doing, like, these long runs, what are the sort of the things that you do to sort of make sure that you're able to get on stage and give it your all and be at peak performance every night?
I think just having, like, an easy, like, 10 to 15 minute warm up is super crucial in terms of just, like, letting those muscles know how to function without having to push for certain notes. Like, I switched to in-ears probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and I've had a lot of help from some friends over at Shure, just making sure that gets dialed in right. Because that saves your voice so much. If you're going up there and you have a floor monitor that you just can't hear over some drunks, it's like you are going to blow your voice out and end up sounding like shit tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so just learning, like, the delicacies of that process, or one thing that I really appreciate about a yoga practice is, one, I can do it from my phone. Just pull it up on YouTube. It doesn't take anything more than a mat and some blocks.
Yeah.
But it makes me very aware very quickly that I'm holding tension in this part of my neck, or I have some knots in my back. They're preventing me from taking deep enough breaths to really, get the fullness out of my voice. And so I think just checking in with yourself more often than not as you're trying to get through a 4 or 5 day run.
Yeah, totally. Because checking in with yourself, that's really close to mindfulness. Are you a meditator at all? I know yoga is a type of meditation, but are you?
Well, I'll find it at the end of a practice, but it's not something I specifically go for. I think at the end of the most practices, you're just going to pretty much lay there and have your instructor walk you through a couple of thought processes.
Yeah.
And those things, they might carry as intentions throughout the day. And I try to share whatever my practice's intention is most days, just to remind people that we all kind of deserve that space, especially before you get into what's on your to-do list. What are the weights of your day that really just got to get knocked off this list? reminding yourself that you're just using this vehicle to the best of its ability to enjoy this life that we get to live. And it is not something you are promised every day. It is something that you take gratefully, that you earn throughout the process, and you make the most of.
Yeah. Yeah, is this something that you've always sort of practiced, or is this something that you've had to discover over time and make mistakes and get there? Or is this something that you sort of was like, you saw early on and you were like, I should just follow this path? I mean, because it's really interesting to me when young people, like at a young age, recognize something and then they make that change right away and then they just stick to it. And that's like when you see artists just like, oh, I was getting out of control with alcohol, so I cut that off at 20. And I'm just like, you stopped drinking at 20? Like, to me, in my brain, like at 20, I was like just getting started on my alcohol addiction. So it's like, you know, like they saw this issue and they handled it and they just went forward, and that's how they do it. Like you see, like Jack White is a good example of someone who was just like, I saw the pitfalls of what this could be. So like at a young age, I just didn't hang out, I didn't party, I went to the hotel room and I did work, and that's it. It's like, so is that something that you sort of recognized early on, or is that something you had to stumble into?
It's something I found during the pandemic, just with time on my hands and need to do something physical with that time. Like honestly, I was trying to push, you know, probably at the same pace that I'm at now, but maybe a little bit more on the live shows before the pandemic. And it was a nice reminder that my output as an artist is the most important thing to me. You know, having time to not only write the songs, but to refine the songs, to let them come to life. You know, I'm sure you've experienced where like you write something and you don't know what it means until you get a couple weeks into playing it out. And that line's like, that's the one that resonates. So let's start to recraft around this. Yoga was kind of similar to that, where it's like, I just need to work out for a day. And it worked really well that day. Like this specific part of it, or this part of the practice was starting to enable me just to feel better, to feel like I've gotten in my own skin a little bit more. So it became a daily part of my habit, and something that's continued on for the last year and a half, 2 years now.
That's awesome. Yeah, the pandemic, I think, was a wake-up call for a lot of people to start taking better care of themselves, or you know, mentally or physically. What was that process like for you? You know, like from the start. I mean, like how was when the pandemic first started? I imagine, you know, when you lost all your gigs, like all of us did, you know, what was your initial reaction and how did you sort of work through it?
It was heartbreaking because I had just come out of a really difficult relationship with a producer who had just kind of shelved, you know, an album's worth of material, and we had to go through a legal process that was just very costly, and it's a bummer of a situation. But you know, I'd planned a tour, hoping to go out, still play the material that I had been planning on, and hopefully just be able to connect with fans and kind of tell them what's going on a one-to-one basis.
Right.
So to kind of pull back from that, it was like, you know, it was a what the fuck am I doing with my life kind of thing. You know, I'm only 25, but I just graduated, and I had a lot of friends that were working from home and doing okay with that, and I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to make these records myself. So I just started digging into Logic and investing in my home studio, and very gratefully getting a lot of the equipment that I needed before that. So it just became like this this time of seclusion and reflection, and figuring out what my new process was going to be.
Yeah.
And it's actually, it worked out great. So this new single that I dropped and this new EP is kind of like the first batch of self-produced tunes and self-recorded stuff.
Oh,
so
that's rad. That's right. It sounds really good, man.
Thanks, brother.
It really does sound like you you know, you went and learned. So when you went into learning recording process, did you were you just learning how to do the capture and sort of how to use the DAWs, or were you or did you like go all in and like learn mixing, mastering, and get into all that stuff?
That's stuff that I really do just delegate, knowing that like everyone has their sonic thumbprint.
For sure.
And there's certain nuances that I'm not going to pick up in the first 2 years of doing it, that someone that's a decade into this is going to be able to pick, you know, pretty quickly out of a mix and start to kind of refine the project at large. So I think in time I will invest in that, but it was more about the capture.
Yeah.
And it was more about like, how does the DAW play into the creative process that I don't have right now with the band? So, learning how to program drums and what makes a groove sit for me, and how do I like my horn parts to come off, and how the fuck do I play anything with a flat on a keyboard? Like, what are these black keys for, man? Like, just going through that hell again,
Yeah. So wow, that's a lot, man. Like that right there is a lot. But when you have nothing going on, what else are you doing but learning new stuff? So that
and like I was writing every day, and I think that's a great habit to be in. If you can get a thought out a day, even if it sucks, you've worked the muscle. So when you get a muse in your life, you get the right fuel of inspiration. Now we're off to the races and good things are happening.
Yes. What is it? What is it? What is the feeling? I'm trying to think how to word this. What is it for you that triggers that, like, this is something worth capturing it, or this is like, what is it that sort of is like, this is it, like what flags sort of go up?
I think what I always look for is like, is it an earworm? Like, can I get this in somebody's head for, at least an hour after the show? And most of the time I need that kind of external feedback to know, because I'd rather just keep writing, keep moving. I'm not the ultimate judge of, is this valuable? Like, I'll write songs for me.
Right.
But most of the time it turns out if someone really doesn't like that song, it's probably not that great. Like your friends are brutally honest. Like I had a best friend in high school who was like the first person to be like, hey, you got one good song. And it's not that good. You got one good song. And I was like, shit, man, you mean that? Like, it's brutal, but someone's got to tell you.
You need those friends. Friends. Those friends,
sure.
Keep those friends close and near and dear to you, unless they're being malicious about it, and then you got to like discern. But most of the time, if they're your friend, the difference between someone being malicious and someone just being honest. And if someone's just like, that sucks, and like they're your true friend, it's like, well, you need to keep that friend, because that person's going to keep you on the straight and narrow for a long time, and time to come.
Absolutely.
I don't mean to pick at old wounds here, but I'm just curious on like what was the issues with the producer, and were you ever able to resolve that?
So we were able to settle and move on with both of our lives, and this is someone that I cared deeply for, and I feel like that is mutual. So I can only wish them the best of luck in what they do now. But if you spend too much time in front of a DAW with audio files and you keep contorting, you will find yourself like insatiable to what is good enough and what actually happened in there.
Right.
So it was probably just a little bit too much time, manipulating what I was trying to put out there.
Yeah.
And eventually becoming dissatisfied with that. And then once there's dissatisfaction with the way the songs were coming together, I just started harboring kind of resentment. Yeah. And the process got longer and longer until, after a certain number of sessions on a certain song, saying, hey, I don't think this is going the right direction. And then being told that it's going to get shelved, or having someone throw out an irrational number to you for how much they want for, the work that they've put in, and just having to pivot and cut people out of your life when a certain situation goes toxic.
Yeah. And that sucks. That really does suck. And you said that you've had a history with this person. You had a history with this producer.
I had 2 to 3 years of really good work with this person. But it was just kind of the last project that we had worked on. Started to carry in issues, that the smaller problems from those 2 to 3 years that just became one large meltdown at the end.
Yeah.
So very grateful that I was able to get out of that situation and retain publishing rights for music that I really cared for as an artist, and I know I had made an impact for the small number of fans that I did have at that point in time. So I've spent the last year kind of going through that catalog of music that was wrapped up in this, and starting to pick things out and work on them. And Impatient's one of those songs that for a while I'm like, okay, I don't think I'll ever get to release that. I don't think I'll ever get to record that song. Wow. So start writing again and move on, and accept that you can't be gripping at intangibles to make you happy. You kind of just need to move on without them. And it was a big learning experience for sure.
Yeah, definitely, man. Well, what is the biggest thing that you learned from it? Like what it being a learning experience. What is the thing that the big idea that you took away?
Yeah, I think like transparency to an excessive extent. I was talking about being a band leader. I prefer to have this all under one kind of one direction. So I'm not going to everyone and having to ask opinions on what we're doing. I can make executive decision and go that route. And if guys choose that it's not for them, they're welcome to step away at any point in time. And having that kind of comfortability and having paperwork in place so that everyone feels like their best interests are taken care of, that everyone's fairly compensated for their work, and that no one's wondering when they're going to get rich from this. Like this is a pursuit that I see myself doing for the rest of my life, because it is who I am. It is a vocation more than it is a career. It's the ultimate joy for me.
Yeah.
So I'll bear that risk of whenever I can make a living at it, and I make a decent living at it right now. But everyone wants to be able to have a nice house one day and retire and do those kind of things.
Yeah.
But you don't need someone wondering why they're not waking up a millionaire in your circle.
Right. It's like, as long as you know where we're at all times, everybody's knowing. I love that. I absolutely love that. That makes a lot of sense, and I completely agree with that. There shouldn't be any sort of secret things happening. Like it should be all out there so everyone knows exactly where we're at.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's like no one's wondering why they're not rich. It's like, or like when they're gonna be rich. It's like, yo, you see the numbers, they're right there. Everything's right there for you. And
exactly.
And you'll never guess.
Exactly. You'll never guess. And, I think some of it's, there's an old way of thinking here that we're in a very like gig economy kind of style for the artists and the musicians of this community, because streaming is this section of your revenue. Then you have your merchandising, then you have your live revenue. You need to know what expenses turn that wheel and why you do them. But if you're expecting a buyout, if you're expecting a label to come in and give you a big advance,
right,
know that advance is eventually going to come out of your pocket, and this is not going to be a get rich quick scheme.
No.
You're not selling Cutco.
Yeah, you mentioned that this is a vocation for you. Can you kind of explain that more and go into a little bit more of what you mean about that? This is not a career. This is a vocation.
It's just something that I've been playing guitar since I was 9, and I think from that age it's been the happiest choice of my life. Has been learning how to take experiences and anything from pains and pleasures and putting them into this music and then sharing it with people. It makes me feel like I have a purpose, and I feel like there's so many of my my college friends that are making decent money but don't feel the impact of the job they do. And even if this is a starving artist situation, I'm grateful that I don't wake up every day and wonder why I do it.
Sorry, man.
You're fine, brother. I was expecting to get a shout out going on in there. Do whatever you got to do. Once again, there you go. The king of graphics. Hey, baby.
No, I interrupted what you say. You were saying some really good shit, and I hit the button wrong, and now it's over. I fucked it all up.
No, you're fine, brother.
Vision GC, welcome in. What's your take on the Great Reset? There you go. Well, there's a question from the chat, but please finish your thought before we get into that.
Well, let's just use it as a segue. It's
sure.
Like if we knew the world was going to end tomorrow, everyone else would have to stop what they were doing and change shit up. Versus, I'm pretty confident that I probably just go play whatever my last show was going to be, have a good ass time doing it, and let this thing, blow up like the Rocket is. Like it's not Dwayne the Rock. I believe that he has a great future ahead of him, and he'll probably survive the reset.
He will.
But for the rest of us, I mean, whatever happens in the Ice Age happens.
I think what Vision is referencing is not necessarily the end of the world. I think they're hitting on what they're saying about what the World Economic Forum is talking about, or is that what they're called?
Ooh.
This is more of this is more like an elite sort of conspiracy theory.
Okay.
But not really, because it's the World Economic forum, and they're sort of talking about the Great Reset and what it means, and talking about like how digital currency is going to take over. And it's basically, I don't know if you're familiar with what the World Economic Forum does and stuff, but like there was before, I didn't mean for it to go here. Vision brought it up, and I'm just gonna.
Hey, let's do it, brother. Don't worry about it.
I'm blaming Vision on this one. Here, let's just pull it up. We might as well just look at it. The Great Reset. Is it the World Health Organization? Yeah, I know Vision.
Quote unquote conspiracy.
Yeah, I know. The Great Reset. Hold on. Let's just look at what Google has to say about it. I'm sure that's some good information. Google always has the good stuff. The Great Reset was the name of the 50th annual meeting of the World Economic Forum, held in June 2020. It brought together high-profile business and political leaders convened by Charles, Prince of Wales, and the WEF, with the theme of rebuilding society and the economy following the COVID-19 pandemic. And so, like, right before the pandemic hit, they were running. What do they call it? Simulations on if a pandemic struck, what would happen. Like it was like a month before the stuff started showing up in China and stuff. So there's there's a lot of weird stuff that's going on, and they're also starting to do these weird simulations now where they're talking about cyber attacks, worldwide cyber attacks. Now, instead of the Great Reset, it's going to be the Great Narrative. Vision, have you heard of the Great Narrative yet?
No.
I was talking to Vision, Matt.
Okay. My bad.
No, it's all good. The Great Narrative is a continuation of the Great Reset. The Great Narrative, which is off of an old philosophy called the Grand Narrative. I can't remember who did that. Narrative. Let's see if that comes up. The Great Narrative, The Great Reset, Book 2. Isn't that nice? They have whole books. Here it is.
In the apocalypse, you'll only get the Kindle edition, so you might as well buy that now.
So the Great Narrative is going to be another world, world leaders are going to come together. Billionaires are coming together. They're all going to make decisions. It's all happening in Dubai in November 10th through the 13th. It's just very weird. It's called the Davos Agenda. Look, I mean, you can watch it live right now. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, this sounds crazy. And it's one of those things where it's like, I'm sure it's a banging party.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't get the invite. I definitely don't have the credentials for this shit.
Me and you, Matt, probably will never be invited to this.
But that's because we're Ohio boys. We got to have our own meetings, man.
Exactly. We have our own meetings on Twitch like this. This is.
I'm not saying we start the cyber attack, but at least if it looks like we could have that card, it's like playing Uno. They don't need to know what you have, but if they think you got it.
Yeah. No, I do you ever notice when they name legislation, it's usually the opposite of whatever the title is, like the Patriot Act?
I was about to say the Patriot Act.
Is it, you fucking Patriot?
Isn't there a Patriot Act too?
Yeah, there was a Patriot Act too. Yeah, there was a whole thing.
They crazy, dog. They crazy.
Yeah, and I wasn't trying to take it there. I'm actually making a concerted effort to try to not go too far into politics, because sometimes we go too far and people get a little weird when this is a music podcast. I get it. It's a music podcast. We should be talking about
the podcast.
It's a podcast, exactly.
It's like if you try to label it yourself, brother, you just show up here to do the job, man. Yeah. They obviously want this. Let's go with that.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I don't know. Are you one for conspiracy theories? Are you one to dig into those types of things? It seems like you're pretty busy with your music and your career, but I don't know. Do you have time? I
spend a lot of time in the car. Yeah. I mean, I'll listen to podcasts when it comes to the entertainment of it, and
yes,
the drama of it.
Mm-hmm.
But in certain terms, like my own existential concerns of the world and the antagonists to my life or your life or whatever story we're all living in, I try not to let it kind of blur my focus from what I do. Because again, if it goes to shit, I'm still doing this one thing. Like, you're not going to stop that on my end. That being said, there's something that's very very humbling about being in a workforce that feels blue collar. It's like I show up to a gig and I get paid for that gig.
Yeah.
I provide a piece of art, someone pays for that art.
Yeah.
Versus I think we're we're seeing what is the runaway of capital allocation, where it's like people have enough resources to get what they want done, and it just ends up being a snowball effect for them to have what everyone else needs. You know what I mean? It's just people holding on to, whether it be money, whether it be power, whether it be some kind of rager in Dubai with the billionaires of the world. It's like, I don't know what you're doing over there, but I'm just going to keep it simple. I know how to get food on my table, and I do it through a way that I love.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like that. I like that because there's just so much going on in the world. There's so much information going on out there, and like to pay attention to it all, you wouldn't be able to even work on what you're doing in your own life if you're sitting here worried about, the World Economic Forum and everything that they're doing. It's like, yeah, it's weird. The great narrative, that's a weird thing to call that, right? Like, what narrative? What is this great narrative? Like, what are you going to be talking about that requires you to call it the great narrative? Like, this is some really weird, like 1984 shit, man. Like, go ahead.
It seems like some kind of lofty, over the top Pixar film, to be honest. I'm assuming it's animated. I'm assuming there's a lot of death, but not a lot of blood, which makes it okay for kids. Like, I don't know what kind of game they're trying to play here.
It's book 2. Like, there's literally a book. The first one is and it's free. It's free, everybody. If you guys want to go read The Great Narrative, everyone go ahead, download it from Amazon. Bezos, yes. Vision gets it. Bezos. He owned.
You seen that meme of him turning into Pitbull?
No, but we're gonna go look at it.
Yeah, you're gonna need to Google that, because that's the ultimate right there. Jeff Bezos turned into Pitbull. I mean, it's happening slowly, and I think he's mainly doing it through. Yes.
I get what you're saying. I get what they're saying now. Look at this.
This dude definitely shops at Macy's. Okay, he has billions, and he's shopping mainly the ink line from Macy's. I'm not saying I don't, but that dude from Good Charlotte makes some really nice clothes. Is this his new girlfriend?
Yeah, dude, she looks like, I don't know what happened. Mr. Worldwide, baby!
See, this is why Pitbull's always in front of the game, okay? One, if they do end up being the same guy, I'm not that concerned. We're probably going to do better with Pitbull in charge of this planet. But he's never walking around with his significant others. I mean, he keeps it strictly him and the fireball, and that's why he stays on top of him. He's on his toes.
He's on it, man. He does not fuck around when it comes to marketing and branding, son.
Yeah, keeps Google Translate out so people think he's eloquent, but that's about it. That's all he's really doing.
Oh man, no, no, like characters like Bezos and like I don't know, man. These billionaires and like their eccentricities, and they're going into space, and like what the fuck? I mean, what do you make of all this stuff when you see like these billionaires sort of just acting however they want, gathering it fucking at the Davos, agenda, and then the Great Reset? What I mean, in your head, when you see all this stuff sort of from an outsider's point of view, when you see the World Economic Forum, what we just talked about, and when you see these billionaires going around acting like they're fucking rap stars flying into space, fucking gathering and talking about, what the general population is gonna, the future holds for the general population. What is that to you? Like, what is that? What is that? What does that say to you? I'm just curious.
I would assume that the people that have the real money, we probably don't know who they are. Like they're not as flashy as a Jeff Bezos.
Right.
That being said, like when it comes to like American celebrities, like this is the top entrepreneurs that we got. So obviously he gets a lot of attention. And if you look outside of just the numbers, it doesn't look like he's having the best go at this whole living a happy life thing. Like probably had a pretty messy divorce, has an extremely stressful company. It's like people just need to know when enough is enough, and not need to be competing, incessantly with an Alibaba or whatever the other competitors of Amazon is. It's like, I just don't see where you break off and have a happy retirement where all you've really provided is 24 hours shipping and a broken labor shortage. It's like, it's just brutal,
Yeah.
I don't I don't see the appeal in it. That being said, I've ordered a lot of cables off of Amazon, and as a consumer, that shit's been pretty cool at times.
Oh,
but
dude, especially over the pandemic, that's been amazing.
Yeah, but I think if there's anything I've kind of learned throughout the pandemic in the last year, it's like what we view as the cost of things monetarily is not the true cost of it. It's the cost of the waste that we put in the trash can, like the amount of chargers I threw away during the pandemic just because I found them. It's like, and they all say don't throw away. I'm like, what do you want me to? Should I burn them in the backyard? Is that how we're doing this?
Just smelt it down and repurpose
Exactly.
it.
They're looking for these chips. Okay, I have 6 Verizon chocolate phones. Okay, are those the chips you need for these Toyotas? Because I got them.
Let's go, baby.
I'll put it together for you, dog.
Send them in. Oh shit! No, I like how Bezos just went for. Honestly, I like that Bezos went for. At least he went for an age-appropriate mistress. I'm gonna give him that.
That's cool.
I'm gonna give him that. Like more. I like. At least it wasn't some like 18-year-old who was just like, oh, look what I found. But definitely like I don't know what's going on with her. But good for them. Good on them. And
if there's anything, I'm assuming that dude doesn't know how to work Alexa. Like, that's the kind of like old man who's like, oh, this thing just keeps fucking talking to me. I just want to know the weather.
Thing off. Can one of you guys come in here and turn this off?
Yeah, exactly. Like, this microphone on, people listening shit. Well, didn't someone just hack into his phone? Like, didn't they use the what's the name of that software? Pegasus?
Pegasus, that's right. I said Prism.
Yeah.
I think that was the name of a thing. But yes.
We should all be on Signal, man. We should all just get on Signal, call it a day.
Are you on Signal?
I am not on Signal. I trust Apple to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But I think one day when I get my walkie-talkies back, I'll probably just get Signal for my burner phone and live a good life.
And live a good life in South America.
Dude, if I'm going anywhere, I'm going to Argentina to party with the king. We all know Elvis is there. They're keeping him alive and well. Those are the kind of conspiracies I get behind. I'm like, okay, all the cool celebrities have definitely just faked their death and gone to Argentina. That's how you ball out.
Yeah, I mean, like how... yeah, like, that's where fucking... No, I'm not going to say that. That was a dumb thing. Could you feel where that was going? I'm not going to go...
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to... I stopped myself. What is this thing?
He didn't even fake it that well, man. I mean, come on.
I know.
Where do you get 3 jumpsuits? You'll need 3 jumpsuits.
Dubai ruler...
Low bunks, too.
Let's see. State of surveillance if Pegasus can hack Jeff Bezos. Michael West Media. That sounds like a legit fucking source of news.
Great PNG, dude. He might be beating your bong out. I don't know.
I know. He has a spider on the brain. That's good.
Exactly.
Amazon NSO spyware. How Jeff Bezos' phone was likely hacked by Saudi crown prince. Jeez. Well, Insider is somewhat legit. So there you go, folks. If you didn't know, Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos had a phone hacked in May 2018, and primary suspect is the Saudi crown prince Mohammed bin Salman. UN report. UN report published Wednesday said a forensic. Get the fuck out of here, Jesus.
That's how they get you, dude. You click that once, and they're in your phone.
Now they know. Now that they know what they want from me. That's why the Zuck puts tape on his camera. Yeah, he knows. The Zuck puts tape on his camera for a reason. So
we also know that dude has no chin. Okay, they're always photoshopping it into pictures, but truly, he's just straight to neck.
Wait a second, hold on. They put chemicals in the water that turn the frogs gay. Yes, thank you, Alex.
The hard thing about a character like Alex Jones, like, one, we should admit he's super entertaining.
Yes,
he's done the thing for many years.
Yes.
And, if you take everything with a grain of salt, he's been right a couple of times.
Yes.
So let him keep doing the show.
Yeah.
Let's try to avoid him getting into any drinking benders and keep him online.
I agree. It's like if he could just stay away from the bottle and really going over the edge, because that dude just will go. He has no off switch. There's nothing to. But I again, like, as much shit as everybody has talked about that guy, and I know he's been wrong on some really bad things, but like, on the things that he's been right, it's pretty interesting. Like, for instance, he's been talking about this pandemic since like the early 2000s. So like, I don't know. I mean, and the things that he said, when you look at the interviews, like I saw an interview with him they did with Jesse the Ventura, whatever he used to go by as a wrestler. And he's straight up talking about in 2009, he's straight up talking about exactly what's happening right now. And I'm just like, Jesus, Alex, what the fuck? It's just like, come on, man. If only you weren't such a psychopath, maybe, people would listen. I don't know.
but eccentrics oftentimes make the best art, whether it be like the shock rock of the 80s, like those guys had to be balling out the way that Motley Crue did. It's the only way you get that outcome.
Yeah.
If we want to find a couple of really deep, weird truths, that guy's probably got to be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And I think for the most part, you just got to accept that human beings make mistakes.
Yes.
That dude's just trying to do what he feels is his vocation. Even though most don't agree with it, it's him going at it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's and like Alex Jones is a great example of what America has been, like the American dream or whatever you want to call it. He's a great example of someone who's taken an idea and a fringe idea and made it into a multi-million-dollar industry. And even after he did get sort of deplatformed and canceled from all these different places, he still was able to go off onto his own little planet and create a whole network, and he's doing fine. He's fine, but he is like a great example of what it is to be like an American and what it means to be unfettered and uncensored until you're censored, right? Because that was a great example of how that cut into his revenue and how that censorship can be something that sort of brings the hammer down on your income, and that's what's happening to a lot of artists right now. It's what's happening to people in Hollywood, and some people probably should be canceled. Some people shouldn't probably be out there, but it's a big topic on this show. If you haven't, we have a whole PNG for it. We have a
but to be silenced leaves no room for redemption.
Yes.
And it's just it's treating people inhumanely to act like people can't come to their senses when they do make mistakes, and knowing that you don't take away the full grasp of what someone's intention is until you have a one-on-one conversation. I mean, if you just listen to someone's show, from any side, from any particular opinion, it's like you're not getting the full grasp of this until you're asking your own questions and having civil dialogue about it.
Right. Exactly. And that's why it's important that we leave people alone so people like Alex Jones can exist. And even if he is wrong, at sometimes it's okay to be wrong. That's what's great about a free society, is that you have room to be wrong.
For sure.
And you let someone sort of be themselves. They can make something really interesting and beautiful. And whatever you think, whether you think what Alex Jones is doing is beautiful or not, but like they can make they make a piece of art out of free expression and free examination of life and what they're doing, and they were able to put that forward. And so to cut that off, you're cutting off that whole path for people to sort of go and discover, to have a civil discourse, to have a perspective that's valuable, that adds value to whoever, and that adds value to the people he hires, that adds value to society in general. So it's like to cut off that conversation, to cut off that path is such a detriment to culture and to what we do.
Especially
artists.
when you talk about something like the great narrative or things that it's like people get scared by big changes in our societal structure, because really people just want to make their own choices and be able to live the life that they want to live. But if you can't raise your hand and say, hey, this meeting that they're having in Dubai, which seems like a great rager once again, is kind of freaking me out. Yeah. And it's like, if you can't be honest about those opinions and have discussions within your own circles of friends or online, it's like, then we really know that we are being silenced for our concerns, and they'd rather just have us, a dull population. Like, that's some real 1984 shit. Like,
it is. It is. And then when you start seeing things like everything sponsored by Pfizer, and there's a great narrative, and there's, like, people are being silenced whenever they talk about things that don't fit this great narrative, and you start seeing, like, you do say, like what was it, the
Brought to you by Pfizer. Fuck you. Pay me.
Thank you, Bonnie. Appreciate that.
Bang bang.
Like the other day, Jen Psaki, our press secretary, was saying something like, you're gonna have to get on the right side of history and realize that we're trying to stall your fundamental rights. And it wasn't out of context. That sounded stupid. Like what she said, she blatantly said something, and there was no follow up. They're just saying it now. And that's what's really interesting, is they're just saying is like people's fundamental rights are getting in the way of what we're trying to do here. Like they are just saying it now, and they're starting this narrative, and people are getting behind it. And people, and like they've done this over history before. They've used, social rights and social status and social what do you call it? God, like oh my God, why am I farting out here? They use social issues to sort of create these narratives and to create these policies that sort of take away our own rights. So right now we're voting to take away our own rights by, or we're calling for our own rights to be taken away by whether it's mandates or whether it's by what you can and can't say. And until that, and that's quickly heading towards policy. And when you look at countries like Canada, love you, Bon, but I always have to take a shot at Canada. Freedom of speech isn't something that exists, but doesn't exist like it does here. And you're seeing more and more, and these are our neighbors to the north. They are right next to us, and you're seeing more and more of what they're getting these crazy restrictions on what they can do. I mean, over the pandemic, they couldn't even buy art supplies because it wasn't an essential thing. Could you imagine being stuck in your house and you're not allowed to buy art supplies? Like, that's madness. That's fucking madness. So, this thing, it can be real. Like, and that's what people don't, people are living in this world where like this stuff can't happen to us, but it can, and it is kind of, like we are sort of working in our own worst interest when we're saying like, go and be forced to do this medical procedure and go and be forced to say these things that you don't really mean or don't say the things that you really mean, or, don't go against this narrative. And it's like a lot of that's popping up right now, and a lot of people are sort of accepting it because there is this sort of scare in the air. This the pandemic is making people really kind of go out of their minds. And I don't know. I'm sorry. I just sort of went somewhere, but predictive programming. Yeah.
And when you kind of you touched on something that I feel very personally attached to at this point in time. It's like what it means to be patriotic in the modern day is very different than what it's meant before. And it's not a right or a left issue. Know that this is a country that comes with many faults. We're only 200 years into this. We are trying to right the wrongs that we have done. And we're trying to properly navigate what's going on here. But we were set up with a constitution to enable us to have, solid discussion about this, preparation for whatever we feel fit, and consideration for others. Like it's not the norm in the rest of the world that your government works for you. Our senators work for us. Our president works for us. And the more that we divide in our own small communities, if you can't talk to your neighbors because of their political opinions, that's the least productive thing you can do as an American, as a member of the society, as someone that wants to see us continually do better and start to make progress towards a better situation in all this.
Yeah. And so when you think about that, and just by saying that statement, what are some things that we could do?
Well, I think beginning to transition back to in-person events that feel reasonably safe. Even if you have differing opinions about the pandemic, we don't want to see this run through the population and start to take a death toll up there and put us in a worse condition. That being said, health is at a better time to focus on health than ever before. And when you see your friends slacking, that they aren't getting enough physical activity, they're living a life based on 2 liters of Pepsi and starting to call those things to light, just that we know better. And I want to see you here for a long time, because what a lot of folks don't realize is that not only does your health affect the people in your immediate proximity, but the people you work with. I'm running a small business here. When the guys in my band go down with illness, it puts me in a situation where, what if I have to cancel a tour because of a drummer being sick? Things like that. I want these guys to be healthy so that we can continue to do what we feel is, our own version of contributing here. So being able to have those discussions without taking it too personally, that's one of the big things that, if you ever read the book, The 4 Agreements, one of those agreements is try not to take MILF Hunter 31er.
MILF Hunter, thank you so much for being here. Welcome, MILF Hunter. I know you, MILF Hunter. Where do you hang out? I've seen you around. I've seen you.
He's tracking
places.
you. Don't fall for it. Don't tell him.
Yeah.
He's already got your IP. You just followed.
How many VPNs do you have?
Just enough. Just enough.
I'm sorry, but what were you saying again?
I think just being able to discuss things and not take them personally.
Yes.
Be able to tell your friends, like, hey, I want to see you prioritize your health a little more, because I want you to be here in the long run.
Yeah.
It's painful to lose so many people that we care about, and to see people fall into their own vices.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to a time where I'm sure the number of people suffering with alcoholism has gone up, the amount of people suffering with substance abuse. It's not just one person suffering from this. So having that conversation is important, and not being so sensitive that you can't do it is very important.
I'm sorry. I know
you're totally fine, brother.
But he said, hey guys, protect your mom. MILF Hunter is coming.
Did MILF Hunter himself say this?
Yes, MILF Hunter said themselves said, hey guys, protect your moms. MILF Hunter is coming. MILF Hunter, come on through, baby. Come on through.
There's a lot of single moms out there that do need service.
They do.
If you went after my mom, I would be concerned for my father. But, I'm grateful they have a happy marriage, and, play the cards that you got to play, brother.
Yeah, you do you, MILF Hunter. You do you, boo. And like Vision, I think brought up a good point here. Is I think the most important thing about talking about this stuff is prepare a plan about what to do about it. And like besides talking, I'm not sure, because, and I know that talk is cheap, or words are wind, or whatever you want to try to say, but I think that when a big part of this narrative or this plan or whatever we're sort of talking about and fighting against, or trying to stay above water. And I'm not trying to say that there's some grand conspiracy or cabal that is trying to bring us all down as a society, but I'm just saying whatever it is that they are, or whatever it is that we're sort of talking about, that sort of we're trying to fight against. I think when you see that they're trying to silence you, when a big part of the idea is to silence and to control an idea and narrative, I think that one of the best things to do is to talk about that in general, and to talk about the things they don't want you to talk about, to actively talk about the things they don't want you to talk about, and talk about it in a way that civil discourse, and have it be a fucking, a real conversation, and not be people just yelling at each other, or like 10 people on a screen going for like 3 minutes. It's that's ineffective. So I think a big part of a plan on counteracting these narratives is talking about them in general in public, for people to see, and people with some kind of cultural sway, like Matt Waters. I'm glad that Matt is here. He contributes to this culture, to this music world, to this world, and it's we're talking about this in public, and I think it's important, and I'm glad that we can have this conversation with Matt, because a lot of people are afraid to talk about these kind of things.
But I think,
go ahead, please.
When you see certain groups that really want to see change in that, it's like you need to respect that everyone should take the actions that they feel fit.
Yeah.
You can talk to people about their actions. You don't control anyone else's actions.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things it's hard to stomach the idea of a mandate, because I'm not the one to tell you what to do here, but I'd like to see you prioritize your health, because it affects all of us as a working society. And when it comes to organizing, organizing for change, we should fight the issues, but an us versus them mentality and playing to fight each other is why we've walked into countless wars over the history of humanity. It's like we're at a point in time where we don't need to have a red button in front of us with a bunch of nukes loaded on to make a point.
Oof,
Let's get to a point in time where we can all agree on what the objectives here are. We can all agree that we're going to take different means to make those objectives happen, but to continue to organize it and know that you shouldn't step in front of someone else's intentions as long as it is for the betterment. Because then we can also address this issue from multiple sides rather than the prevention of people organizing and making their opinions heard and trying to hash these things out. Silencing that just puts us close to that point of resentment. Yes. And then at some point there is a break.
Right.
But I also feel like we've been told that this system is falling apart for the last year and a half, more than it actually feels like it is. And starting to see what things are going on in the real world rather than what's happening on our phone is an important part of getting ourselves out of this. Also, going to your local farmers markets is a good way of getting out of this shit. Like look at the big companies and know that they can't save us from inevitabilities of sometimes there's food shortages in the world. Sometimes people go hungry. You should make a personal difference in that. Grow a damn garden, compost a little bit, quit throwing away the chargers, or compost your chargers. That's the big point I'm trying to make. Burn pits. Okay. When you're burning all those micro USB cables that you just tore through because you have no concern for the greater good, just make sure you plant some celery. I don't know. Yes. Compost everything yourself. Because Amish people do know what the fuck they're talking about. Gang shit.
Gang, bitch.
Gang. Have you ever seen them throw up a barn in less than 2 hours? Shit is crazy. You live in Northern Ohio. You're practically Amish. Look at your map. I'm sure that was hand knitted.
Amish barn raising.
They so quick, dog. Also, now I thought that initially said Tomish, which I think would be a great subsection of Toms that are Amish.
Thomas, what's up, Dex? Good to see you, buddy. I gotta give Dex. Oh God, Dex, that was terrible.
He in the building?
Dex is in the building. No, Dex is he's in the chat.
Yes,
support your
local business for sure.
That's great, and yeah, exactly, Matt. That is such a great way. Another thing to sort of combat whatever that they are trying to do to us is taking on responsibility of creating your own food, your own way of living, and finding a way to collect your own resources. I know that's not going to be, it's not going to be possible for everyone in New York City to go out into the urban streets and find the resources and like go hunting or grow, community gardens, but maybe it's time to get the fuck out of New York City. I don't know.
Totally. If that doesn't serve you, then you should take the executive choice to make a difference in that. It's like, also when I see people complain about, gas prices between administrations and things like that, when was the last time that you decided not to go somewhere because there's a gas shortage, or you rode your fucking bike? If that deters you from doing the things you want to do, you should find alternate means to do so. And quit acting like you are held hostage by the luxuries that, our current situation provides you. Just because you can't go get your art supplies from the store, you should be able to figure that out on your own. Get a pencil out, make means with what you have in this situation. Do not be enslaved by your comforts.
Damn, real shit right there, son. Real shit right there. Oh shit.
They call it murder.
Use blood.
Use blood. Are we still talking about composting? I'm pretty sure it's okay. If it's really going to be a healthy batch, you need 30% plastic, 70% blood. I'm not going to tell you where to get it. Okay. There's plenty of places where people are donating blood. If you get in this supply chain, baby shit, don't use plasma. It's a waste.
It's a waste. It truly is.
My plastic yield sucks with plasma. Last time I tried to give platelets, I was like probably 20 minutes from being done. And I told this woman, like, hey, my lips are starting to feel really cold. She's like, "You're fine." I was like, "My face feels cold." She's like, "You're fine."
You're God.
And the next thing I know, this woman's yelling, "Inhale" to me as she puts a smelling salt like directly into my nose. And it was the cheapest high I've ever gotten, man. That shit was sweet. Like,
Jesus Christ.
I was a junior in high school. I was like, this is crazy, dog.
Dude, I used to give plasma because I was so bored. Poor. Not bored, not bored, poor. I was poor in Southern California. And I used to go and give plasma and then intentionally drink and then use the money to buy weed. I would go and get drunk because it was easier to get drunk. Because that's how big of an alcoholic I was. It was easier to get drunk after doing plasma. Plus, you have drinking money. What's up, DZ? Welcome in, buddy. Good to see you.
That sounds like quite the concoction, brother. That's how you get on the inside scoop of things. You start browsing Google after you're a little crossed, low on plasma.
things go up. What I don't understand is how democracy started to be implemented as if it was a common decision all over the world. I don't know. And it's interesting the things that we've done, especially in this country, in the name of democracy. So I kind of understand what you're saying there. Team America, World Police, we've done some, I think that's the thing that Matt was talking about earlier is like, this country isn't perfect. We've done horrible things. But we've also done amazing things. And the fact that the world is that so many people want to come here to flourish, that so many people culturally bite what we do, like from hip hop to fucking to arts to all the things that we do in America are innovative to a lot of the places in the world. A lot of people pay attention to what we do. So I don't know. We've done and contributed a lot of amazing things, and we've done a lot of horrible things in the name of spreading democracy. So yeah, I know no one was asking for it, right? But here we come.
It's really odd though when you step in and you see like, and especially now in the age of the internet where we do the Freedom of Information Act, and we can see very clearly that we've been trying to throw regimes for a long time just to up the number of allies we have or the amount of countries that are being run by a democracy. It's like, you just got to keep with leading by example and respect that people are going to do what they want to do. It's like places have different cultural norms that have been going on for hundreds of thousands of years. And if you want to prove a point in those places, why not make it easier for someone to immigrate to the U.S. and to do well so that slowly over time, when these, parts of their population start to thrive in a country under a different system, maybe they can take note and implement that in a way that doesn't start with a restructuring and the falling of a different government and what ends up with more chaos. Right.
And us just implementing our own leadership so we can run whatever game we want to run on it. I mean, yeah, it's dirt. It's dirt. What we've done is dirt. And we still continue to do that. We go in and we overthrow these governments. We put in our own play and we take over their resources. And then we'll sit here and criticize other countries for doing the same thing. It's ridiculous. I get it. America is dirty, but again, I know I keep on defending this country because I do love it, and this country has gotten such a bad rap in the last few years, and like there's so many people who live here who are just like, fuck America, and it's like, bro, I mean, you can say fuck America, but then you can look at like other countries in which don't get the freedoms and don't get the sort of privileges that we do get. And I don't know, man, like to be gay in some other countries is a rough ticket. Or to be poor in other countries is a really rough. It's rough here. Be poor anywhere, but at least there's help. There's things implemented. There's countries where they just live in squalor and shit. They just live in shacks, and that's just it. That's the help they get, and then they figure it out on their own. So I know that we've done horrible things and atrocities across the world, but we've also been able to do some really amazing things too. So I'm always going to defend this country, but I'm going to be quick to point out the terrors and horrors that we've spread around amongst the world. So I don't know. Are you? I know you were talking about patriotism and stuff. I mean, where do you sort of stand on this country, on your feelings about what this country is? I'm sorry we turned this into some weird
You're fine, brother.
What this is
we'll talk about the music if you can come to a show this weekend up in the Bowling Green area.
Talk about we're gonna talk about music. It's all Vision's fault. This is all your fault, Vision.
No, it happens.
I know,
but like but I appreciate, like, I want to be able to count my blessings when I got them. It's like this country has delivered me the opportunity to live a vocation and a career that I find fit. And in most places, you wouldn't get that. Right. You know, it's also a place where there's a handful of veterans that are in my family that I know have seen horrible things amidst the atrocities that our country has done and other countries. And it's like the faults of people that came before us are easy to admit, but we cannot condemn ourselves in our current situation because of how we feel about that. Yeah. So I think to take pride in your country is to admit that, you know, with the contribution that you can make in a short 90-year life cycle, you want to see it in a better place, and you're willing to invest in something that has given you opportunity, and you hope to bring that same opportunity to future generations, versus being the type to say, I'm a jump ship when this thing goes to shit. It's like, no, I want my kids to be able to grow up in this country and see that we have been trying to fix some of these issues and trying to step out of other people's affairs so that we can take care of our own, and also opening the door for people to be part of this country and our communities and our families and our friend groups, because this is not a place that has grown out of isolating and silencing and demanding things of each other. It is a place of innovation and creativity and open opportunity.
Wow, that was well said, my friend. Well fucking said. Let's there we go. Fuck America, everybody! God damn it, America!
Yeah, quit driving around through flags on the back of your car. That's not patriotic. It's just a deterrent for us to be able to see what's going on around us. Jesus Christ, why is it 6 feet? What are you doing out here? Is that half mast or full mast? I don't know what you're trying to tell me.
What are you trying to tell me? Oh, go mighty, mighty. And I love that we're clapping for America and it says Canadian tuxedo. You know what? I'm clapping for Canada too. I love Canada as well.
One day they'll convert. They'll be like, hey, can we just be one of those state things you've been talking about this whole time? We're like, straight up. You can be just like Alaska.
Come be a part of it. I only because we brought it up. I just want to show this really quickly.
Dude, they are balling out of control.
Look at this. They're going.
They're not even taking Adderall. Look at them, man.
They're going without electricity. Yeah, there it is. The elites killed Uncle Ben, and that's all I'm saying. What does that mean? Oh, I know
Which
what
Uncle
that means.
Ben?
I know what that means. Okay,
Affleck.
No, you know the character Uncle Ben, I guess, that thing that they put on the box of food. Yeah, I get what you mean. No, it's Uncle Ben, like, because I think what they're trying to say is that they removed Uncle Ben because Uncle Ben is a type of like instant food. It's like boxed processed food.
Oh,
and there's like Uncle Ben is like this black dude, and I think they removed him, right? And because they said it was racist, and which I'm not completely against that. You know, like if these images are bad and they're showing images of black people and not so favorable things, you know, I don't mind people changing or updating it. Now it's just Ben's. It's just it's not Uncle Ben. Yeah.
And there's a difference in when something needs to be called up for being racist or when something's just like grossly stereotypical. It's like, hey, you should try a little bit harder to get this point across. Mm-hmm. But you know, I think just putting these hateful labels on people, especially when it comes to like, I don't know. I just feel like so many people in the public eye take one of these labels with the cancellation, then we put them in a dark corner of people that we're done with. Yeah. And it's like, it just, again, it shows no room for redemption on either side. And the way we get past this is by having people convert by their own means with a loving sense of growth in that, versus just assuming that once you fall off the wagon, we're done with you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it just, it doesn't make sense, man. But you know, and on the other hand,
Beautiful barn.
Yeah, it is a beautiful barn. Look at that. That was great. 3 minutes and 30 seconds, and we got an Amish barn. Not done yet, baby. They got it going. You were talking about Spider-Man. Oh, Jesus.
I haven't seen it yet. If you spoil anything for me, I'm dropping off this call.
Yeah, don't be fucking it up for us, Vision. We're not here for that. We're not here for that. I love America.
For spoilers.
I love America. That's why I worry about this stuff. I want to make sure. What did it say? I want to make sure kids can have a better life than I did. I feel that. Because of the quote. You know what? I do want to talk about your music, and I do want to talk about your latest song you have out right now, and we should probably listen to it. We'll probably listen to it a little bit towards the end, just because of DMC or DCMA laws and stuff. So I'll be able to cut it out. But we will listen to it live. But we do want. I was curious, and what the song means to you. Your latest single. What does it mean to you, and what is? Geez, sorry, I'm looking at my notes. What does it mean to you? If you care to go into that. I mean, I know some artists don't want to sit there and explain their shit, but if you don't mind, what does the latest single mean to you?
Well, I wrote this after really getting into Anderson .Paak for the first time. Like, I had seen him on NPR, his Tiny Desk, fucked my mind up. Just, one of the first times I've really dug into a new hip hop artist, because I love the organic sounds of it. I loved his showmanship. I loved everything down to the hat he wears. And then I was like so on board. So after I watched this for like the third or fourth time, I was just sitting there with the guitar. And sometimes you try to feed into the medium what you're trying to get out to. So I was trying to write a song in that vein. And I try not to overcomplicate the process. So I'll just start picking at a guitar. Something sits. Start verbalizing some things, not specific lyrics, just melodies or a couple of words here, kind of freestyling. And then something sits. I get that earworm for the first time, and thus is a song. So that one was written pretty quickly, and it's not a very complicated tune on my end, but Christy over at Noteworthy, I was trying to voice this stuff out well for a PR release, and I just call it it's like a funk fueled race to the finish line. Like, it's really just supposed to be something danceable, and it's a story and telling like a first date I went on, which I didn't think was a first date. It was more like a double date with a friend. And I think this is going horribly, just not hitting it off with this person. And then someone grabs you and just you start making out with somebody. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, I didn't think this was working out, and inevitably did not. But it's just kind of outlining that story. Like, you never know someone's intentions until you see the end of the story. Right. And it's very clear that I didn't know what this person's intentions were.
Right. And then all of a sudden, here we are.
Yeah. So they were the impatient party, but
the impatient party. Oh, I'm so sorry. Everybody can follow Matt in the chat. Oh shit. That's that exclamation mark MW will bring up all his stuff.
Thank you, fam.
There's his link tree. Sorry, guys, I forgot to tell you. Link tree is right there. Go click on that. Follow Matt. Go follow him. Listen to his music. Go live that Matt Waters life. I introduced you as Matt Waters Music. That's just
I'll try not to bombard you with shit. I try to post a normal amount, but it's a lot of live footage, because the thing that I'm most passionate about is taking songs that were a moment in time for me. It was a particular experience, and sharing that in person with folks, so we can talk about their experiences and where we intersect in life, and the things that bring us together. Like the best feeling in the world. Tonight I have a songwriters night that I put on. So I bring in 4 of my favorite other songwriters, kind of give them a spot to go up and show me just new originals they're working on. It's so cool when someone plays one of their new tunes. They remind you of a song that you were just working on. Maybe it's just a verse and a chorus.
Yeah.
But you play that in that moment, and that person has a great idea. And suddenly we find ourselves chipping away at something that feels collaborative, and it has the sex appeal of real people in this space that we share.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's a live thing that you do, like at a local venue there?
Yeah, I do that at a bar called Latitudes. It's a club called Latitudes Bar and Bistro. It's actually owned by one of the guys who plays trumpet in my band.
Oh, right.
My best friend is the chef there, so it's great to be at a place that you really believe in.
Yeah.
And they give me a stage to come in and do my thing. And most of the time it's like 3 hours of scheduled programming. Then we turn into a drunken open mic where it's just like, you guys want to write a song up here, and people start swinging for the fences. It's a good ass time, man.
I love that. I love that so much. I love that aspect of community and that that you're trying to build there, you know, and it seems like you're doing it successfully. I noticed also that you do a live stream. You do is that a YouTube stream or do you restream it? What is that?
I put that on Facebook and YouTube. Like I used to do it live through OBS on a Facebook, and I was like, this is some logistical bullshit. I ain't doing this anymore, man. Like I was running like 100-foot like indoor outdoor Ethernet cable into a modem that's like on the top floor, and I'm down in the basement with my studio set up.
So you got deep into streaming for a second.
Yes. I was trying my best to navigate, but I was like, I care more for the live experience.
Yes.
So I'll cross into that platform just to remind people that like when I'm going to be in town, what I'm doing, what's going on with the new songs, new shows, artists that I love, and just kind of zooming out on my end, because it's also a nice way of capturing for, even if no one watched it, you know, maybe I get 70 views on each show. Maybe I get 100 views.
Right.
The couple people that do watch it, it gives us a much closer relationship because they can hear me rambling about my bullshit in the meantime. But I know when I'm 75 and they're like, Granddad, do you want to watch the Weekly Wave? I'm like, what are you talking about? And then they show me the stuff of me in my basement. I'm like, oh yeah.
Right.
So it's a great capture of the current place and moment. And it's just a good reason to organize my thoughts and a bunch of video footage. Like I'm pretty incessant about trying to capture the live shows because I want to know, you know, if that solo sucked or if this breakdown was awesome or if the guys are doing something different. So I'm multi-tracking all my shows. We're just recording a bunch of footage and trying to learn how to take the live experience and best translate it to online listeners, with hopes that one day I can give them a hug in person and be like, thanks for following online, but this is the shit I care about.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wave itself, son.
The wave itself, baby. There it is.
Look at that, 7 views. 7 views. Thank you, guys. Oh, this one actually came out on my birthday as well. Very nice.
Hey, yeah, no, I really do dig what you're doing here. And like when I saw this, I was like, holy shit, this dude could easily go on Twitch. But like you said, your heart is in the live show, and it's different, man. It's a different experience on Twitch. Have you ever gone into a Twitch stream, like a music stream where it's popping off and things are going nuts? You should.
You know, I Periscope for a little while, and I was getting to that, or I've done like r/pan on Reddit just to go play for folks.
Yeah.
But it's also one of the things where it's like, you want to respect experts in the field. Like there's that great TikTok sound going around. Like it costs as much because it takes me fucking hours.
Yeah,
like,
it takes me fucking,
You'll never know how much time someone like yourself has to sink into just making the graphics for a show like this.
Yeah.
But again, you want to provide something that's live and interactive. Like that's where it makes the most sense.
Right.
But I'll probably wait for the right delegation of having someone on my team who knows how to do this stuff well. So I don't have to burn my own brain cells in an effort that I probably won't be able to succeed well in myself.
Well, no, I understand that, and you know your limitations, and I think that's huge as an artist and as a human being in general. But like Vision is saying, Twitch isn't a bad idea to get more listeners. I can say just from personal experience, and I'm not trying to talk you into anything. Don't take this. I'm only talking about this because I noticed that you're in the world of live streaming, because or you're doing this, or you were, and you've touched in this world.
Yes.
Is that like the organic reach that comes from this? And I can already tell by your personality that you would do really well on this. The networking is crazy. Like my wife played for like 20,000 people in her pajamas. You know what I mean? It's fucking bananas. But the organic growth that I've seen over my wife's music and like what this platform did and what it's doing for her and her music career. I mean, you know, you obviously have a really good system going on. You've made a great network. You've laid a lot of the groundwork it takes to be a touring, working musician, you know. And what sucks about this current situation we're in is that we don't know what's going to happen, and we don't know, you know, if all of a sudden they could the flu Rona could come out and you know, everything shut down again. So with the uncertainty of everything, it's like a lot of people are pivoting towards this direction and doing really well with it. And that's it. That's it. I'm not trying to talk you into anything, but like if you're ever thinking about it, I would definitely help you as much as I could, because I think you would do really well on it.
Well, I would love to discuss that kind of thing. And I can't imagine a world right now without these kind of platforms that have enabled independent content creators to actually have the reach that they do. Like one thing I was talking to a family member about the other day is like, back when there was 3 channels, that was literal programming. Those are your only options. And you get fed what you get fed, versus we live in the age of the internet where you can get out there and kind of give your own opinion, but also have the opportunity to interact. And sometimes I do miss having that live interaction of seeing the comments roll and being able to talk to folks while I'm doing stuff. Yeah. But I feel so much value in the fact that I think we all kind of ridden with a little more social anxiety these days, that the internet perpetuates. Like, you're going to get more hate on the internet than you would ever in person.
For sure.
The hate that you receive on the internet makes you fear in-person interaction so much more.
Yeah.
And I think reminding people that there's a safety and being able to sit across the table and know that, like, whatever happens here, we're just sharing this, and I'd rather it be real and tangible, and learning how to operate a medium like Twitch in the meantime, so that I can interact with those people, definitely seems like something that has a lot of value and a lot of love for it. Like, at the end of the day, I want to be able to say thank you to folks that do come out and do make a difference in my life by supporting the art and being there for it.
Yeah, Twitch is a great platform, but it's a pit. It as well. It's a time pit. It's a time and money pit. So I mean, like, anybody who, like, the buy-in is so, it's so costly for anybody who's like just starting. Like, obviously you have probably a good enough computer, you have equipment, you could probably get started and go just fine. But it's like the buy-in to this is nuts if you want to do it really well and have it, look nice and stuff. But
it's the barriers to entry that any industry would have. Like, if you want to work in construction, you need the capital to do so. Like, if you want to be a streamer, you got to make that jump. But I think there's tremendous amounts of value in doing it, because also when someone sees that, like, I don't know how much CPU it takes to make that graphic move behind you, but it's a fucking vibe, man. Like, you want to take it there. Like, I recently just invested in some lights for our live show.
Hell yeah.
Because my tour manager has a phone in his hand. You can connect it to Bluetooth. And people love when the strobes hit at the right point in the song. And we got a shitty fog machine that I'm going to step on, and we're going to try to make this thing weird for you, man.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's the thing is, like, when you're bringing on a show, whether it's on the internet or in a live setting, you're trying to bring something interesting. You're trying to keep people engaged. Things for people to sort of, to vibe off of, and on any level, whether digital or IRL, you're trying to create an awesome party environment if that's your vibe. But for you, that's your vibe. It's like, I want people to be partying. I want people to be funky, like, we are dancing, we are fucking, we are doing it, baby. And
like, downright, like, I want you to shake some ass. Yeah. And then I want to hit you with a song that makes me sad as fuck. And then I want us both to feel that for a second. Like, yes. But it's a hard game to manage too, because with the phone in hand, we're limited by more distractions and whatnot.
Yes.
And I think what we all assume about ourselves is our ability to multitask is, as good as any other talent that we have. And it's not true. You're going to enjoy life a lot more when you can zoom in on the moment and get present. Yeah. So, like, when I wake up and I do my yoga, I try to write down most of the shit I think I need to do today before I do that practice, so I can say it's off my mind. I'm not going to stop in the middle of this, write something down and go back to it.
Yeah.
Right now is my time for my practice, to make sure I can get into the skin suit and go through my day and be cool with that. And then after that, I start chipping things off the list one at a time, rather than having to go back and check my email and just being flooded by the concerns of a never-ending to-do list that I think we all kind of got.
Yeah.
On top of whatever Alex wants to tell me is going to blow this world up, which... Please tell me, Alex, but cut the bullshit at times too. Like, I went to the dentist for that fluoride. Don't tell me what kind of fluoride they give me. Like, it's including the plan. I paid for it. I want it.
Give me the fucking fluoride.
Yeah, come on, dog. Quit teasing.
Can't wait for the next album, The Great Reset. Okay, I'm done.
It's a concept album. It's pretty much just a chromatic drone that goes on incessantly for a couple hours, but thus is life. Dude, it's vibe. Like, I got a Moog. I'm going to put it to work, especially if the world's ending. So I got me a generator. I got me a cam radio, and I'm just feeding the truckers some trance vibes.
Yeah, man. I mean, what else?
When are we going to be able to send smells through the internet? Like, why are we still holding ourselves back?
I don't know, but I think that it's not going to come until Neuralink is in full functionality.
Fair enough. So we can connect into all the senses.
Yes.
Now, what else does that allow us to? Will touch be available at the same time smell is?
I think so. I think that, but when they introduce Neuralink to, I mean, like, people are sending tweets with their mind. You realize this, right? Like, they're already communicating online with their minds. It's already happening. So, like, what is it gonna be? I mean, like, yeah, we're gonna be able to touch. We're gonna be able to experience what it's like to do drugs and not be. I mean, but to be addicted to doing drugs in a VR setting. You know what I mean? Like, that's interesting.
That's pretty trippy.
That's really trippy, right? Like, not being physically addicted to heroin, but being addicted to the feeling that, the feeling of heroin within artificial environment.
On a more expensive subscription service? Is that what you're getting at?
Yes.
Is this what the Bezos is doing?
This is what Bezos and the Zuck, they're all with the metaverse now. Like, I mean, the metaverse is crazy too, because people are already buying property for millions of dollars, cryptocurrency, blockchain, Web3, the whole fucking thing, baby. It's coming. It's coming.
Well, while they're distracting, I'm just going to keep on my plastic compost, man, because it's just like, again, like, you can do a whole lot for the age of the internet in terms of participating in things like that.
Yeah.
But I am a finite organism, and I'm not going to step into the spectrum of the intangibles expecting to have anything more fulfilling in there than I would out here, because I feel like it's inevitably shallow. Like, whether you believe in a creator or a god or not, there is something that goes on when you put your hand on your desk and you know that this has come from another living being that is now, it's not sentient, but it is still material that will never be created nor destroyed. There's a finite amount of matter out here that we're playing with. Mm-hmm. And those pitfalls that come along with it, even though they are plentiful and difficult, you're not going to beat it with a more intense version of farmland in the metaverse. I do agree the chemical reactions in the brain, like the reason you smile is because of some chemical reaction you got going on.
Yeah.
But I don't want to give Zucker Daddy the ability to tap my sweet spot. You know what I mean? Like,
don't touch my sweet spot.
Yeah, he's gonna get onto my stem. He's like, someone just liked your post. Does that make you feel more firm? Like, no, Zucker Daddy. Like, I don't give a shit.
Like, it's wild, dude. I mean, my son just got the Oculus for Christmas, and it's nuts, man. Like, we're looking for apartments around town here, and we're just doing virtual tours, and you can do virtual tours of these apartments and stuff, and it's wild. Like, you're like in this space, and so thinking about what it'll mean to be tapped in, and like, I mean, because like when you have those goggles on, your whole equilibrium is just sort of locked into whatever is sort of in front of you, even if it doesn't look real, like quote unquote real, you're still locked into this, this is real for you now. So I can't imagine what it's like when you have Neuralink tapped in directly into your brain stem, and you're fucking in your little pod, being fed intravenously or through your stomach with some kind of paste, just to keep you alive, just to keep you working in the metaverse, and the job that you got in the metaverse, putting blocks somewhere, whatever it is, like whatever this sad future is gonna be. I don't know, but I mean, when you think about it, it's not going in a good place, like, I don't think that this, just by the way that Facebook and social media sort of numbs society, and is our form of control, and has become our new religion, our new Bible. It's sort of literally the Matrix. Yes, exactly. I mean, to see how under the spell we are there, if they have a direct tap to your spinal, your brain stem and your emotions and I mean, honestly, as AI develops, musicians will be obsolete. Like music will be created in your own brain from past memories and different songs that come together and are composed in real time to fit an exact moment and feeling that you're trying to do. So, like, we're gonna be so complacent in our little pods, that it's gonna be the Matrix. They're just gonna mine us for electricity. It's like we're gonna be the energy source.
I do think the Anunnaki are probably already doing that. Like, let's be real. Like, we're just trying to figure out how to work the pyramids again so they can get that sweet power. They are using us as Duke energy, but we don't know it. But like, you're a keyboard player, right? You're piano?
Yeah, for the most part. That's what I get hired for, but I play guitar, bass.
So when you sit down behind a Baby Grand sample or a Baby Grand, like, what feels better?
Well, obviously,
slightly out of tune,
yes,
poorly moved,
right.
Chipped all over the place, Baby Grand. Like, and I think one of the things we get sucked into is most of our discussion takes place on the phone. Our text threads, our Facebooks, are things like that. I assume I know enough about you based on your profile when you just don't talk to those people enough to know who the fuck they are. And like there's times where you say like that the AI is going to be better at making music. That's a deep fear of mine. Like, I already feel that way about my drummers at times because I can make drum samples that I'm happy with and not bring them in for a session. But I know at the same time, I want that sonic thumbprint that comes from a person that knows me and knows my live show and is able to put that in a groove, even if it takes 7 takes rather than just moving a MIDI note just over a little bit.
Right.
And now I have the artistic choice as to which one I want to use. It is a utility, not a replacement.
Yeah.
And I think there's something so special about moving air in a space. It's like, that's why some guys like having a wedge on stage, because you can feel the air in your voice and the carry. And it's like, but I know the utility of an in-ear headphone is going to be a little more applicable for me.
Right.
If there's a Neuralink version of in-ears where it'll just auto mix for me, sign me up. But it's not going to be the way I tell my mother that I love her.
Right.
It's not going to be the way that I express a true sense of safety and compassion for my children.
Yeah.
But it's so odd to see this approaching with this loom that everyone assumes it's going to take care of you. It's going to take away our jobs. And we're not going to do that shit anymore. Like, no, a trucker's still going to have to sit in there and make sure this thing stays on the road. We're still going to need human beings. And the thing we need most out of human beings is real companionship.
Yes.
And I think we lack that more and more every day as we fall into these escape pits that are Assassin's Creed Brotherhood and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Yeah. As much as we love you, I can't be the pimp you're looking for. And this mission just doesn't fit me. So I'm going to go back to my invincible tank and fly out this business.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's a lot of people who are just open arm embracing this stuff, and there's some who are gonna be fighting it. But ultimately, I think ultimately they're gonna be just like how there's anti-vaxxers and vaxxers, which I hate saying that, but there's gonna be people who are like technologists and anti-technologists who are like, I'm not getting the fucking link, and then. Are we going to have mandates? Are we going to have Neuralink mandates? That's what I want to know. Is Elon Musk going to be like fucking going to climb the ranks and fucking have that kind of influence on us and be like, you know what? It's going to be like everything's going to be sponsored by fucking Tesla. It's fucking ABC Morning News brought to you by Tesla. It's fucking, they're going to replace Pfizer. And then the narrative is going to be, if you don't get a Neuralink, then you're the undirty. You're the unclean. You will spread the disease of thought. Yeah, kill them. Whatever. I don't know. Never mind. Anyways.
Well, it's like someone like Elon is using this utility to try to move towards what he thinks is best, in the same way that Google is trying to do what they think is best for the world. What we need to do as consumers is pick and choose wisely what agrees with us on individualistic basics and let the free market dictate what's going to go on here. Because in the end, like, I shouldn't have to buy in if I don't want to buy in. You know, if you are neuralinked up and you're doing your thing, and I'm still having fun over here in the analog world, you know, playing my guitar, doing what I gotta do, we should both be able to live side by side in a way that isn't confrontational, and I should be able to tell you what you're missing out on, and vice versa. But the moment it starts to become forced upon you, it's just such a hideous idea. Like, why do we now see a generation of kids growing up resenting religion? Because it was forced on you.
Yeah.
You know, most of these are over than 2,000 years old, and they don't apply that much to the lives that we're living. But they had some good ideas. So if I didn't feel suffocated by it, maybe I could read, maybe I could read the Bible and take some things away from it, or maybe I could read the Quran, or maybe I could read, what's the Tibetan Book of Death or whatever. Yeah. Like there's so much considerate thought that we could be learning from if we weren't so scared of being genre specified and labeled and forced into certain lines of thinking.
Yeah, no doubt, man, no doubt. It's the moment that anything feels forced, people are gonna automatically turn and run. I mean, when you look at like how the religious conservative movement back in the 90s was going after hip hop music and rap music and stuff like that, it was like that idea that this is, you know, anti-American, anti-religious, you know, it's going against God and it's going against all these things. They were using that to sort of try to use it for censorship. And like the moment you start doing that, hip hop, look at what hip hop did. The moment they started fucking trying to silence Ice-T or silence fucking NWA or it now it is pop music. So you're going to try to cap this shit, and it's only going to create a pressure. And that pressure is just going to create an explosion. And it's not, you know, so you're literally you're not doing anything but creating more of a want and a need for it, or at least an artificial need, I suppose.
But it's like that's why art can be climactic. That's why you can get this sense of true existential bliss, because you fought through something. And sometimes as artists, we have to give ourselves new constraints. Like I'm working on EP of stuff where I'm like, I don't want anyone else to play on this. I want to figure this shit out on my own. Because I know at points it's going to suck, but it's going to sound like one guy doing it.
Right.
And then I'm going to go back to having my band with the horn section. I'm going to appreciate having those things. But if you just try to, it's kind of like the constraints of a piano. Once again, like, you know, you could go into your channel strip. You could add a bunch of effects. You could really make this sound distinct, and you can make it yours. Or you could look back at when they used to take a staged piano and they'd shove a bottle under the strings, and you get this weird glassy synth effect, and they have a book to dampen up something else. It's like, you should get rugged every once in a while and let the edge of the canvas be exactly what you're trying to hit. Yeah. So when you start to run off, people's imagination can take over, and your imagination can take over.
Look at that. That's just this is fucking gold here, folks. Just fucking gold. If you haven't gone and checked out Matt, then you're fucking up. You're literally fucking up. The link is in the show, or in the show notes. For those who are listening the audio, the link is in the show notes. But for those of you here live right now, go and click on that link in the chat and do yourself a favor, folks. That's what I do. Take the positive values from different religions. Yeah. And like, even like, I was brought up Catholic, and then I took LSD, and then I had this huge resentment against the Catholic Church and religion in general. And then as I got older and my mind started to drift and I started to loosen up a little, I realized that these things, these religions have beautiful truths or you know, ancient truths, you know, quote unquote truths that lie within them. And that there's things that you can take from them that are valuable. There is value in these. Hey, Bob Toos. Thank you for the much. And Bob Toos, yeah, you like that math hat, don't you, baby? Yeah.
Gang gang.
Yang. You knew. Oh, is that what you were saying earlier? You were saying yang gang? Is that what you were saying, Matt?
I was saying gang gang. I'm
Oh,
cool
you're
with
saying
yang
gang.
gang. I'm cool with a yam gang.
This is actually because this is Andrew Yang's hat. Andrew Yang.
Oh, that's cool.
I thought you were, and I was like, wait, was he saying Yang Gang? Because he knew what my hat
I'm not
was?
that informed. Yang was cool though. Like I was listening.
I was with it. No, this was one of their hats. We were supportive of Andrew Yang, but this is
nice.
There you go. It's reversible. So
that's a vibe.
Go. I follow him on Facebook.
Thanks, fam.
Yeah, the whole math is money. What was it? Math, marijuana, money, marijuana, or math, marijuana, money, or something like that was with it. Because he was like, let's just sell weed and get that money, the tax revenue, and let's start rebuilding some shit. Go ahead.
One thing that's blown my mind in the last couple months is like I got a few friends, specifically in Ohio, that are either growers or caretakers.
Yeah, and
it's like there's something that's so clearly heinous as legalization process happens. Lobbying is influenced by money a lot, and these large scale companies are trying to step in on this market that has been catered to by small business for so long. So when it comes to where you get your pot from, if you're someone that enjoys marijuana, then go to the local folks that are growing with love and consideration, that are using the local resources. The people that have been in the game, taking care of this industry for so long, amidst hardship, because those are the folks that are passionate and considerate about this. Like one thing that people hammer on is, when you can, choose Black-owned business, especially when it comes to marijuana, because that's one of the groups that's been most affected by this. There's still people that are in jail for possession charges, for distribution charges. And it's like, you're about to hand over one of the biggest booms of profit margin to one of these companies that's going to hand us a bunch of mids that don't give a shit,
Yeah. No, you're right, man. You're right. Yeah, like that's the shitty thing about this is that, like, especially here in Ohio, and I don't know, you're younger, so you might not remember this, but like I'm a little bit older, and I remember the days where like getting caught with a roach is like you go to jail, or like fucking meeting shady deals going on in mall parking lots. Like, keep it down, bro, keep that money down. Just not using code words through fucking on the phone. It's just So to see things sort of open up and like and be more accepted is amazing as an Ohioan, but also what's coming with it is like these monopolies and these companies who are trying to come and like you said, trying to push out the little guy, and then with that they're trying to mass produce, and with that comes pesticides, and with that comes no compassion, no love, just straight up chemicals, and it turns into another tobacco industry, which is what people are sort of in fear of. I mean,
well, it's terrifying, and it's easy to be excited about the legalization process and to watch that oversight go by the window because you want to buy a zip for $120. It's like this, I'm only 25, and I haven't been smoking for much of my life, but in that process, I've met some really lovely people that really do care about the spiritual aspects of this plant and how it can bring us together, and the good it does in medicinal purposes. And these companies are just going to load it up with pesticides. They're going to worry about their yield above all things. They're going to ruin the strains that have been crafted for so long in really distinct parts of our country that have not only great flavor but great properties about it. It's a shame, man. We should be ashamed of ourselves as consumers for not seeing past this ploy that is large capital taking over small business.
Yeah, it really is. It's fucking gross. Bob 2 says monopsony. Okay, I don't know if I said that right. We speak English good. When one buyer basically is deciding purchases, employer dominance of overall market is the same impact. Decentralizing income would break up the power of the employer coercion. Ooh. So this definitely applies to, big marijuana trying to come in here. So what is it? When one buyer basically is deciding purchases, employer dominance of overall market is the same impact. Decentralizing income would break up the power of the employer coercion. Decentralizing income. So how would you decentralize the income? How does that work?
I think that's the discussion of you having multiple places you shop at, being able to diversify where you go for your supply.
I see.
Because you worry about convenience being the first thing, whether it's the closest dispo to your house.
Right.
You have to be able to bounce around a little bit to see what other products are available.
Wow, I'm glad you were here because I was just. Oh, UBI. I see what you're saying. So like a universal basic income would yeah, and I'm that actually sounds like something that might work out good. I was talking to a friend of mine, Mythic Politics, who's a streamer here, and we were trying to figure out like, if there was a UBI in put into play and people no longer really had to struggle and work for a living, they could sort of pursue their own passions or whatever. Would that be enough to keep a population with a sense of meaning? Because a lot of people derive meaning from what they do, what they work, where they do, and how hard they work. So where would people derive meaning if everything is provided for you? And not everyone's an artist, not everyone has that access to that sort of thinking, or at least that's just not how they were born. I can't say they don't have access to it, but at least that's not how I was born. So I've always, we had this conversation, is like, where do you find meaning when everything is provided for you and there's no struggle?
Well, it's you think about Christmas Day as a kid. If you had the parents that gave you stuff early, you didn't wait for that big moment.
Yeah.
What's Christmas?
Right.
There's moments where you should be saving up and getting excited about something, not assuming that you should just buy it right now, because there's anticipation, there's joy in that kind of thing. One thing I worry about with the universal basic income is what that does to inflation. It's like, we're just printing money at this point.
Right.
I don't know what the Federal Reserve is, but that shit terrifies me.
Yeah.
We have no gold standard, and in the end, we live in a worldwide economy now, so we have to value the dollar for what it is. But it kind of goes back to what we were saying about, like, what is the real cost of these products? Like the gallon of milk that you're buying for $2.99 also comes at the expense of the gas that got it there. It came at the expense of where it came from in the country, rather than trying to locally source these things to minimize overall impact and waste and whatnot. And also admitting the pitfalls that come along with that. You're talking about like the yield that happens when you don't apply pesticides, but the long-term cost of pesticides in our foods is cancer medications. Right. When you're 70, 80 years old. It's mind-blowing that we have no idea what these things are going to do to us in the long run, but we just assume because it's the cheapest, it's the best option. Yeah. And we as a society have been undersold by importing so many products for so long. But just, where's the manufacturing coming back to Ohio? When's the manufacturing coming back to the States for products that do make people happy as manufacturers and as consumers? Like, what happened to Detroit when it was a shame to drive a non-American car in that town because you knew you were taking jobs away from your neighbors? I'm someone that likes American-made guitars. I have a couple that aren't, obviously. But when I play one of those guitars, I feel pride in knowing that this is supporting the place that has supported me and given me opportunity in that.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you, man. Like, there's the idea that, I mean, like the pandemic really highlighted how far behind we've fallen when it comes to being able to provide for our own selves as a country that does sort of, individualism and pull yourself up by your bootstraps. We don't even have boots on anymore. We've sent all of our boots overseas, like we don't have boots anymore. And then the boots that we do have isn't enough. And we were still dependent, and even with these like tests that we're waiting for, these COVID tests that we were promised, there's a shortage because we don't make them ourselves, and we're waiting for our enemies to provide it for us. So it's like, what are we doing?
And we're also telling our kids you have no value without a college degree or a white collar job. It's like that's why, again, I went to college. I got a degree in marketing. I enjoyed my experience. I think the cost of the value of what I paid for is not there when you look at the cost.
Yeah.
And when you look at kids that are trying to live the American dream and pull themselves up from destitute situations and escape perpetual poverty, it's so mind-boggling that they're about to put themselves, 80,000 in debt at the drop of a hat, with everyone telling them to do so, with no idea of how they're going to get rid of that debt in the long term. You're going to die with that debt. Your kids are going to inherit that debt. We're eradicating the middle class and the jobs that provide a means to an ends by telling all these kids that you either need to make it and be a Jeff Bezos or be a cog.
Just live in it and just accept it. Think of anti-monopsony policy as the antidote to gouging and landlord scumlording. I see. So we would have more of a control on because we're voting with our dollar that's provided for us, right? So we're able to support the companies that we by our dollar. We're able to support the companies, and those companies will live on because of how we voted with the income that's provided to us. That all sounds interesting. I think that sounds all great, but then there is that idea that what of inflation? If we saw what happened over this last couple of years when we did sort of institute a UBI, we saw the outcome of that is what we're living in currently. So how do you mitigate something like inflation when you're just making all this money and and the dollar devalues and how does that happen? I mean, it's going to call for a whole restructuring of how we do business, and I think that's part of the Great Reset. Is like I think it's like talking about this digital currency that we can go forward and and now they have complete control because they want to take over cryptocurrency. I mean, they already kind of have captured it over local manufacturing. Well, what happened to local manufacturing? I mean, local manufacturing is dying because we shut down the country. I mean, we took out, what was it? What was the amount of local businesses that died, like small businesses? It was like
such 60% range.
It was like a 60% of small businesses gone forever. And that's local manufacturing. Understanding the whole supply. Yeah, I don't understand it. I'm a fucking idiot musician out here in Ohio. But it's like, but still, but I can see it enough to understand, there's different aspects that have to play in order for things to keep going. I don't know the ins and outs, of course, but local manufacturing, I know, has suffered greatly because of these last couple of years. And who has gained the most? Amazon, Walmart, all these big companies are only getting bigger while the middle is sort of shrinking down in local lanes. So how do we provide a UBI without inflation and without local manufacturing?
And I think there's something to also be said about corporations have this idea of indefinite growth. Like they just want to do better year in, year out. And now with the investment market, everyone believes that they should have, the passive income of their capital growing more and more every day. And that's a race to the finish line. If you have more, you're going to win that game every single time.
Yeah.
And then you start to have issues with insider trading and things like that we're hearing about in the government. It's like, those are runaway trains for problems. But like, as someone that I know what I go into work for, I make a certain amount. I know what that money goes toward. I reinvest in my business. I'm not that concerned with passive income at the end of the day, because I'd rather just make it for what I do and have that money retain its value. But you have to be concerned with passive income because you know that inflation is going to put you at a deficit at the end of the day. Yeah. It's like, isn't that the shame that we're seeing, that the dollar you just worked that last hour for is worth less now that the hour is done, because you're going into this next aspect of it. It's like, our grandparents' generation that I'm sure your grandparents were probably veterans. They came back. They had a family of 6, which who knows how fucking expensive that is. Yeah. And, my grandpa went around selling calendars to churches and made a living off of that.
Wow.
But where's that job anymore? Where's the companies that allow someone to survive on income like that and actually provide a service by localizing what that's going to be?
Right. And it doesn't exist. I mean, especially now. I mean, like if you now you can just order all the things you want. And my friend, okay, so like this is how amazing fucking making music in the new world is fucking. I asked my friend in the morning. It was like 7 a.m. and for him it was like fucking 4 a.m. For me it was like 7 a.m. because I'm a psychopath and I'll just get up early and just go. And I text him because at that moment I just got this idea like, oh my god, this is the only person that can do this guitar solo. I need this guitar solo. And so like I text him. He responds by like 9 his time. He's like, okay, I'm down. What do I need to do? By 3:00 p.m. his time, he ordered an interface from Amazon. He downloaded Reaper, and by the evening, I had a copy. I had a version of what his idea was for the song. Like that's how amazing it is. But you can just order a fucking interface and have at noon and have it by 5 p.m. I mean, like, who can compete with that shit? Who can compete with fucking, order at noon, have it by 5, have the song out by the evening? It's like, it's hard to imagine and have the capital to get to that point. And it just seems like there's a lot working against people who would even be able to try to get to that, And like, I don't know where that goes.
And it's convenient that we can do it in that kind of time, but at times it makes us less patient. It ruins your ability to sit down and read a chapter of a book because you could easily listen to that audio on an audio format faster than you could read it yourself. It's like we're losing skills out of convenience. The skill of interacting with a studio owner to go in there and track that part to send it to you a week later, which does mitigate costs to some extent. And again, like you want to lower the barriers to entry, especially when it comes to art, because there's a medium that is so cathartic and it should be available to everybody. But it runs us into a conundrum of like, what do we expect to be given to us, to be available to us at all times, rather than being satiable and saying, today is enough because I got up. I know I have enough water to get through the day. I know I'm going to get a good meal or two. And I'm going to go to work and do my part in trying to add to this.
Yeah. When's enough, folks? When's enough? So you have you're working on a new album, which is but you have an album out now, which please, when did that come out? Your last album? I'm sorry.
So actually, this EP comes out on January 28th. We released the first 2 singles. And then we're pretty much sticking with an EP format up until we do this live album in March. And the intention of that being that, 4 to 5 songs is a lot more manageable on my desk at once than 11 or 12 songs.
Feel you.
And I feel like compartmentalizing them like that allows me to standardize certain parts of the process. Like I'm bringing my drummer for 1 day of tracking. We're going to do these 4 songs. I have a 2012 MacBook that can't handle that much more than that. So here we go. So so we're doing things like that. I probably have 4 or 5 of those EPs kind of lined up and ready to track or start working on demos.
Do you have that much material together?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Are you pretty prolific?
I got a lot of shitty songs as well. If you like an EP of shitty songs, we all got run off.
Are you like Prince? You just have like all these like hitters and then like a fucking vault full of shitters?
Dude, isn't it what it's like? You dig into Prince's vault and you're like, there's not a lot of garbage in here. Now, admittedly, there's some garbage in there.
Yeah.
But like they released this version of, and Prince is probably my favorite artist. Him and Paul are the 2 greatest songwriters of all time, in my opinion.
Pretty good. Yeah.
But they released this version of "I Feel for You," which is innately a Chaka Khan hit that he sold to her, but it's on the Prince self-titled album. I got a copy. I got a 1978 pressing of this thing. It's so nice. But it's the last song on the album, and it fucking bops on there. But then you hear this acoustic version, and you're like, there's something that is in his hands and in his heart and in this process that you can never get an AI to do.
Yeah.
You can never get an AI to have that aha moment where everything just sticks. Have you ever listened to Prince's 1983 piano and a microphone tour?
No, I haven't.
He never does this tour. I'm pretty sure there's no actual shows that happen from it, but he was preparing to go out, and it's just as it sounds. It's all acoustic, him and a little baby grand, and like they have his foot mic'd so you can hear Prince bopping along, and it's better than any kick drum you've ever heard. It's just this pretty wooden floor and the sexiest floor on the floor you've ever fucking felt. It will blow you. Go listen to either Mary Don't You Weep or 17 Days off of there, and it will put a smile on your face that will last longer than any Viagra fueled orgasm ever will. I don't know where that tangent came from, but if we're doing Prince, it's got to be sexy.
Yo, Prince, I'm with you, man. I love Prince. I'm a huge fan of Prince, and yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. I do think that there is a lot of stuff that I'm not that into in his catalog, but there is so much that is so good. So I'm not gonna shit on him. I'm not gonna shit on the purple Prince, but
But you should be able to, you know what I mean? Like, that's the subjective side of it.
Well, I mean,
your opinion's valid because you're an independent listener. You're someone that consumes it and says that one wasn't for me, man.
Yeah, and like there's the whole thing where he turned against the LGBT community for because of religion. That was weird, but I'm not gonna hold it against his music.
One of the most androgynous characters of musical history, but it's maybe a mistake in our eyes and maybe not in his. We don't have him to ask anymore. We should be able to separate our artists from the art, though, and the contributions they make.
I agree.
In the same way that, like, OJ played some mean football out there.
He did.
Turns out he was pretty mean in real life. Okay, enough said. Follow OJ on Twitter. That shit's crazy.
Follow OJ on Twitter. Yeah, you do yourself a favor, folks, and go ahead and follow Orenthal. Yeah. So I think we should listen to me before we wrap up here and let you go on with it. I think we should listen to your latest single, and can you introduce this to us? There's no video for this yet, right?
No video for this yet. We have one video out from this EP that is a song called Colorful, which is probably the more rock side of the catalog. Everything I write tends to be somewhere between rock, funk, and soul, or at least that's my aim. I don't get to decide these things. You tell me what you think it is.
Right.
But this is the title track off this new EP. It is a song I'm very proud of, and it's a funk-fueled race to the finish line. Shake that ass, get down how you want to, y'all. And Mike, thanks for your time today, man. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, man, I've had a great time. Now, did you send me that, or I have that? Wait a second, hold on. I think Christy sent that to me. I'm sorry.
Christy may have sent that to you.
I should have had this queued up, everybody.
Oh, it's all good, brother.
We're gonna.
And also, I got tour dates out right now.
Yes.
This first quarter of the year, we're pretty much hitting 4 markets. We're going directly north to your area, to the Toledo area this weekend. Then we'll be in the Carolinas at the end of the month with the band. Next month, I'm going to be in the north with the band. I'll be in the Boston area coming up, I think, in like April or so. So if you want to find info on that, go to mattwatersmusic.com, y'all.
Yeah, make sure y'all are doing that. And Bonnie dropped the link in the show, or in the fucking link. Okay, so we are going to play Impatient. Is that what you just introduced?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Sorry, dude.
You're fine,
I'm
brother.
doing like
Shake
20,
that ass, everybody.
I'm doing like 20 things at once here, folks, but I love it. So we're
Hit
gonna
him with Ric Flair one more time, then. Fuck it.
All right, I'm gonna go silent, you guys, and let's listen to this song, and you can watch us jam out.
And I can't take one tip, like a black other with a fringe, check it off a hinge, like a door swinging round and round and round. And I should have seen it coming, but I knew you knew what you wanna wear. Lay down, no sound, but now 0 to 100, how the evening escalates. And I couldn't wait. It just takes a taste to make me impatient. Even when my eyes are closed, my answer know just where to go, 'cause they're impatient. Ooh, 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 impatient. Ooh, 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 impatient. Ooh, 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 impatient. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And I should say where to stop, 'cause when my eyes roll from the top to the bottom, what's got them on? And I think I'm a fan of what I'm seeing, with the fan swinging from the ceiling. If you're bad, you'll think, who's hot, yo? Who's hot, yo? Stealing. Other evenings escalate, and I couldn't wait. It just takes a taste to make me impatient. Even when my eyes are closed, my hands don't know just where to go, 'cause they're impatient. I'm seeing, with the fans swinging from the ceiling. If you're bad, you're a thief. Who's hot, you're stealing. How the evening escalates, and I couldn't wait. It just takes a taste to make me impatient. Even when my eyes are closed, my hands know where to go, 'cause they're impatient. Ooh, 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 impatient. Ooh, 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 impatient. Ooh, 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 impatient. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Well, we lost our guest, but that's okay. Matt Waters, everybody, give him a round of applause. Hey, Matt Waters, hey. Yeah. Sorry, Matt. I don't know what happened there. Maybe he left. Maybe he was like, this song is too funky. I gotta just go do something with it. Matt Waters, everybody, had a great conversation. He was just too impressed with that dope-ass song. He was just too impressed with his own music, everyone. He just couldn't handle it. He had to go. You know, let me go ahead and say thank you to Matt, and you know, thank you for all that stuff. We didn't get a good proper goodbye. I feel like we didn't get a good proper goodbye, and now I feel like we lost out a little bit. Hold on, I'm gonna say thank you in our Instagram here. Instagram. Hold on, I should say. I don't know what happened, but thank you for coming on. I'll be in touch in regards to the audio release. There we go. Too humble, didn't even want the praise. Womp womp. Okay. Oh, he's coming back. Everybody. He's coming back. He's not leaving us like that. We're gonna bring him back in. He hold on. Let me get back over here. There he is. We just assumed that it was too funky and you were too humble to say goodbye.
No, what really happened is we got too close to the truth, Alex. You got to understand. The compost should be 70-30, plastic and fluoride. You know, Mac's been on my trail for a little while now. Not Apple at large, just the Mac community. So I will be switching to Dell soon.
Dell is it. There you go, folks. Everyone, go ahead and switch to Dell. And everyone, go ahead and go and check out that single. Is that out currently? Is that available for streaming?
That is currently out, streamable on all the major platforms. If it's not on the platform that you like to stream, I will send it to you personally, as long as you don't post it other places. Thank you.
There it is, folks. And in that link tree, you'll be able to find plenty of places to find where to stream Matt's music and all kinds of stuff. Make sure you're following up, checking out his tour dates. And, you know, I just feel like we should run some tour dates just for fun, just because I want to make sure. I do want to come to this show. Hold on, let me see. There it is. Okay, so this is the dates right here. Monday. It's let's see, when is this? Thursday. At 7. I won't be able to go because I work at the place.
So not on there is I'm at the Village Idiot on Saturday from 6 to 9 p.m.
Now, are you doing an acoustic or you have the whole band?
That's going to be acoustic. I'll be back in February with the band. I believe that's February 20. It should be somewhere on there, like 24th or something like that.
Back at the Idiot?
At the end of the month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, back at the Idiot.
We might have to do that one because Saturday, it's just this whole fucking weekend is terrible. So you're gonna be back in February. So everyone, look at the fucking dates. Look at them. I don't know if they're on there.
I'm gonna make sure I update them after this. If any of y'all go to check that out, I'm sorry for slacking on my end. Nah. But I'm gigging all the time. Reach out if you want to know any other dates, or let me know if you host house concerts or anything like that. Always looking to make friends that want to get down.
Yeah, baby.
We will have a crazy band that last weekend in February. Nice. One of my best friends, my bass player, Mr. Johnny Disco, is a monster on that 4-string guitar. And we have my drummer Nick Hacks. Will be a good ass time.
Is he the one who had that solo? I think I seen like a fly ass solo in one of your videos. That was just like a live video. He was just ripping. Is that him?
If you see a large man playing bass, I mean a big dude, that's Johnny Disco.
Okay. I think he said April. When you playing in Boston? You said near
So
April?
I'm going to be in the Boston area, most likely in. Let me see here on the calendar. Looks like I'm going up there with the band in June.
There you go. There you go,
sir, yes,
Vision.
sir.
Keep it. Put it in your pocketbook. What? Put it.
If you have a pocketbook, write that shit down.
Write
Come
that
on.
shit
Small font.
Small font, baby. Leave room for other things. That ain't your whole night.
No.
Matt
Stay
Waters,
cryptic, y'all.
thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your honesty and your openness. Like that always means a lot to me when artists come on and tell the truth on how they really feel. Because sometimes, artists will come on and I'm not hating on them. I understand. Thank you so much for those all the subs. Thank you so much, Mighty Money, for all those gifted subs. I saw them all. I'm sorry that I didn't say thank you. I'm such a jerk. But thank you for those gifted subs to International Space Bacon and Becca. Thank you so much, Mighty Money. You're the shit. So yeah, I really do.
Shout out to you, Mike, for putting this in together, man. Running a show like this is not easy. It takes a lot of love, especially to stay consistent and to keep grinding on that, and especially as a parent. I'm sure a friend of many and an artist yourself. That is a very, very kind gift that you give us all, man.
Hey, I appreciate that too, man. And I just, I just want to talk to folks, and I just want to know what other artists do, and I don't know. I'm just trying to find out, man.
I'll send you some friends of mine that I would definitely love to be interviewed, and I'll make sure they drink some Robitussin before they come on if you want to get down with it.
Please do. If you do have any friends or anybody that you think would be a good fit for this show, please send them my way. I'm always looking for guests, and that goes for anybody in chat or anybody listening on the podcast. If you were interested in coming on the show, hit me up. wespeakenglishgood@gmail.com. All right.
Yeah.
All right, baby. Oh my God, that was so loud. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, everybody. Matt Waters, everybody. Give him a round of applause.
Peace, y'all. Much love.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Matt. Have a good rest of your day, my friend. I'll be in touch.
Thanks, man.
There he is, Matt Waters. We're the for real leaving this time. The for real goodbye. If you do have any friends. Thank you, Bonnie, for those claps. I appreciate that. So let's see. So for the last few minutes of the show, let's no, I don't want to do that right now. Let me go pee. And then for the last few minutes, let's do a couple things. So I'm going to do this. Let me